How's it going?
Good evening. Welcome to the Auburn Board of Health meeting. It is now 6:02 on, today is Wednesday, October 5th. I'd like to call the meeting to order. For second item on the agenda is to review the agenda. Do we have any items that need to be removed or added?
No, sir.
Okay, anything from you?
No.
Okay. Bill schedule. Do we have a bill schedule to approve tonight?
Not tonight.
Perfect. We're moving right along. Approval of minutes from July 11th, 2016. Did you have a chance to read these online?
I did, yes.
Okay, I did too. Did you have any comments, questions, suggestions, anything needs to be changed?
No, I did not.
Do I have a motion to accept?
Motion to accept?
I second the motion. How do you vote?
I vote accept.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, 2-0 to accept the meetings from July 11th, 2016.
Thank you. And I also just wanted to make a note for the upcoming meetings. I know Steve couldn't join us tonight, but Paul has been working very hard to get our minutes up to date.
Okay.
So we'll have several for you for the next meeting.
Very good. Okay, so the first hearing's not until 6:10, so we cannot start on those until time. So if we want to start with director's issues, and then I will interrupt at 6:10 and we will start with hearings.
Sure. So in your packets, I think I have included several of the letters that have gone out over the past month or so. As you can see, I'm actually going to go into A and B. We have several septic and well projects going on. So we are again, it's been a busy summer because of the drought. Honestly, a lot of people have moved forward on septic projects. So we are moving forward with septic and well projects. And we have installations going on as well. So we'll work through the summer ones that started, and we're going into fall. The weather, I think, is still good, so I imagine that to keep busy. So we have on the housing update, I just wanted to bring you up to date. You may have seen the town has been busy with making sure that we take care of any housing concerns. So we're working with the building department. You may have seen 504 Rochdale. That was a trailer that had been in disrepair for many years. It actually had the roof cave in, so that was taken down per order of the building commissioner. And then the town has, over the past several months, been able to clear out everything there. We had a septic abandonment, very old septic, we were able to abandon. So that is something I just wanted to bring to your attention. The Worcester Regional Tobacco Control Collaborative, WRTCC. 21 Tobacco 21 update. I think you may have seen. I send out the updates as we get them. I did want to let you know Dr. Hartman, Lester Hartman, has contacted us several times just to keep the connection with us. He did inform that last month five more towns went on to the Tobacco 21 effort. He is expressing his availability to come to a future meeting if the board so chooses. So I just wanted to extend that invitation, and you can let me know how you'd like me to respond.
From what I heard, it gets caught up in the Senate. It passed in the House and then it got caught up in the Senate, so it could be a year or two before they even touch it. So I figured we'd get calls from him again once it got held up in the Senate, because they want all the towns to do it themselves, do all the legwork, and then the state can just rubber stamp it when it's done. But all right, well, we can discuss that at maybe at the next meeting. We can have a discussion with Steve, see if we want them to come in.
Okay.
Maybe the beginning of the year or something like that.
Okay.
Because I think usually when we do regulations or changes, we usually try and do them fiscal year. I think July 1st is when we've done the food ones and the other tobacco regs. So that'll give us time to look into what we want to do, have time to have a meeting and a hearing if we're going to do that. So if you're amenable to that, we can either do,
fine.
usually in November and December, we're doing this kind of stuff and the regulations and stuff, so. Usually January and February are kind of slow months for us until the restaurants don't get paid, and then we get jammed up on that, so, yeah, so right now,
maybe-
we can talk to Steve at the next meeting, see what we want to do.
Sure.
I know Steve is big on that too, so we can go from there.
So we'll bring it, we can check it at the next meeting and then
Yeah, if you can
maybe
just add it to the
shoot for
agenda.
the January.
Yeah, just put a question of the WRTCC and discussion by board members. Please, thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Are we doing
We
on
still
time?
got time.
Okay. So for Solid Waste Advisory, Solid Waste Advisory Committee has an opening, and the board members wanted me to extend that notification out on that one. So they are looking for another board member. They are going to be looking at, after the summer months, they kind of take a break in the summer. They'll be meeting again in the next couple of weeks to look at recycling and solid waste efforts, ways to reduce what we are paying out as a town. I also wanted to let you know about some good news. We had the DEP grant award came through recently. And this is something that Amy Sullivan has been working on each year. We've been fortunate to have her. And so the Sustainable Materials Recovery Program, in that grant award was $6,850.
Okay.
So we just recently received that. I wanted to share that good news. We've done a lot of good with that funding. We were able to purchase some recycling toters and do some educational programs at the schools to promote recycling and education. So again, Solid Waste Advisory will be kind of brainstorming some ideas for that as well. So that is the update for solid waste. I also have, I think, hopefully in your packets, I have the yard waste. Yard waste dates have been set, and they are going to be starting on October 22nd. We have October 22nd, the 29th, November 5th, and November 12th. We confirmed that with Republic. Of course, we're going to ask residents to put out their leaves, twigs, lawn clippings, and they're going to be put in the paper bags or open containers, less than 50 pounds, and then you put them out just like you would your solid waste before 7 a.m. So again, 4 dates, October 22nd, October 29th, November 5th, and November 12th. We have this flyer out on our town website, social
Wasn't in our
media.
packet. We didn't
Oh,
get it-
okay.
we didn't get it in our packet. so,
Okay. So we just sent it out, I think, recently, so
Okay.
just new, and I think we also sent it out through social media as well.
Okay, good.
So we have it on the town website, and then I'm also going to see if they can put it on the message board.
Yep.
Just to remind people, when you're driving around town, I think it's kind of nice when you
Yep.
see the message board, it kind of says, oh yeah, I gotta get the leaves together, so that'll at least get that started.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt now.
Sure.
All right, it is now 6:10, and we have a series of dog citation appeals. So we are going to start with 12 Arilla Street. Who's here for?
That's me.
If you'd like to step up and give your.
I'm fine right here, if that's okay.
Well, it's actually easier, so we can have a round table. Sorry to make you move, but
That's okay.
it's a lot easier, and the microphone will pick you up better if you're sitting at the table.
Hi.
No, that's not a camera, that's a microphone. So if you could state your name for the record, please.
Sure, my name is Gerald Laycock.
All right, so what we have here, I'm going to open the hearing, and I'm going to open up the evidentiary part of the hearing, and at that point, we'll get the evidence from this side, and then I'll ask you for your side.
Okay.
And then we'll close the evidentiary part of the hearing, we'll go into discussion, and we can ask you questions then. We won't ask you questions during the evidence, we'll let you give us all your information, and that way it's a lot easier, and then we can just ask questions as we need to. Okay?
Absolutely.
All right, so at this point, I'd like to open the hearing for 12 Arilla Street, and it is now 6:12 p.m. And, okay, so at this point, I will open it up to Amy Contois, who is our animal control officer, and she will give me what the town's view of it, and then we'll go right over to you, okay?
Absolutely.
Perfect. Amy, if you'd like to start, please.
Thank you. So I'll just give a brief overview
Sure.
of the licensing process, since a good portion of this is the same for each of the individuals
Sure.
for the hearing. So annual licensing runs from January 1st through March 31st. So that's when individuals can purchase their dog license for the year. As of April 1st, every person that hasn't purchased a license for that year for their dog is now considered unlicensed for the remainder of the year. So we do include on the town census a tear-off sheet where people can apply for their dog license when that goes out late December, early January. I do also send out reminder notifications between the end of April. Usually it takes a while until the beginning of June. This year I did send out just over 1,600 notices to owners that were unlicensed at that time. So then this past August, so between August 26th and August 30th, I did send out citations to any dogs that were unlicensed for 2016. And during the span of the past 9 months, we do also post on social media reminders for owners. We have had 2 rabies clinics throughout the year, so if an owner hadn't updated rabies and that prevented them from getting their dog license, we did offer that. We did also offer Saturday dog licensing at our spring rabies clinic if people couldn't make it to town hall during our normal hours. So that's kind of a brief overview of the entire process.
Okay.
So for 12 Arilla for Mr. Laycock, I did issue a citation on August 26th for an unlicensed dog.
Okay. All right. Mr. Laycock. So we did receive your letter and I read it. Can you just, for the record, just tell us what you want to tell us?
Sure, absolutely. First of all, I was negligent in renewing my dog's license.
Okay.
Okay. It should have been paid, but I feel as though, when I showed up to renew her license, I had no problem paying the late fee.
Yep.
Okay. I felt that should have been sufficient
Okay.
to renew her license and pay the late fee. Okay. I felt as though the citation was a duplication of that payment, the late fee. Okay. I felt as though I was being charged twice for the same offense.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
And let me just state a couple other things that I feel about, the whole situation. My dog has always had a license and a rabies tag, okay? She's always had that. The purpose of that is if somebody needs to, if the dog gets loose, or if the dog gets in trouble and you have to send the dog catcher out, they have to identify the dog, okay? She clearly had identification on it. So I feel as though if a dog officer had been, sent to find her for whatever reason, she had the old tag on her. That, I'm sure, is part of your records.
Yep.
Okay?
Okay.
So if by any chance I wasn't around and the dog needed to be identified, bingo, she was covered. As far as a rabies issue, you have copies of all her vaccinations here. I've provided those every year. Okay, so I've got 2 things going on here. I disagree with the process, and I feel as though the renewal and the late fee should have been sufficient.
Okay.
I don't feel as though I feel as though the citation was a double hit. Okay? And as I said, the final thing I had to say was the intent. Every law has an intention and verbiage. The intent of this bylaw is to penalize owners who allow their dogs to roam free without any identification. That's the purpose of this bylaw, okay? And that was not happening.
Okay.
this dog had identification. If, you know, she had gotten in any kind of trouble, she could be identified. And basically, that's it. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay.
But I do disagree with the finding, and that's why I'm here tonight.
Sure. Okay. Any other evidence before we step on? Because I have some stuff to go with this too, so we can bring anything else in discussion, because we can ask questions at that point. So, any other evidence?
If I may,
Okay.
I just want to address Mr. Laycock's, one of his points. So there are the citation that he was issued for the unlicensed
Yeah,
dog.
that can go in discussion. I know what you're saying.
Okay.
I already have that point too. I know what you're saying.
Okay.
But the evidence is just what the two things, and then we can go into discussion on that. So I didn't mean to
Sure.
cut you off.
Nope,
but,
that's fine.
I make a motion to close the evident hearing part of the discussion.
All right, I second the motion. How do you vote? Aye or nay? Aye.
Sorry.
Okay, 2-0 to close the evidence. Now we're in discussion. So I believe the point that Darlene's going to make is what I'll ask her to say it, because I think it's the same thing I was going to say. We have two separate entities here.
Yep.
When you pay a late fee, that is down to the clerk's office. That's for them on their late fee. When you pay a citation, that's for our work that we do on our end. So it's two different things.
Okay.
Is that more or less where you're going with that?
Yeah, so I just wanted to
Yep.
clarify, because if you haven't received a citation before, you may not
I have
understand
not.
the difference.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, in the past several years, we have not had any full-time person in that position.
Okay.
So in the past 2 years, we've worked hard to get that position back to a full-time status, because it's very much needed in our office. And our animal control officer has spent all of last year trying to update the records initially. She
Okay.
sent out notifications last year to a lot more people. We were able to clear out the databases, update new owners. If dogs had unfortunately passed away, she was able to update those records as well. The bylaws were updated for the town after, I think, maybe 25, maybe
Yeah,
almost
it was a long
30
time.
years.
Mhm.
So there was a long time where the bylaws were in place and they hadn't received any updates. Over this past year, you may have heard, but our bylaws got updated at the town meeting.
Okay.
And so we now have a canine care and animal care bylaw, two separate bylaws. And there is requirements for animals in town. There is a section for licensing that the animal control officer has referred to, 12.12, canine care, which is where the citation came from. And so the late fees that may have been the really only thing that may have been enforced in previous years
Yep.
was if you came in to pay your dog license in previous years and you were late, you got a late fee. That's actually a fee in the town clerk's side.
Okay.
And so this bylaw outlines licensing requirements that the animal control officer is required to enforce. And so these bylaws go through a public process. We actually had a lot of comments from the public, and we made a lot of changes, I think it's fair to say, to the bylaws to accommodate what the public determined to be, fair. So we made a lot of changes to it. So I just wanted to kind of clarify the late fee for Mr.
Yeah, and
Laycock,
that's what I was saying. I know
also
there's two separate.
the citation.
So, just some information for you, Amy. How many, I know you said you had 1,600 late notices or something like that?
Yeah, so
Six-
by the time those notices went out, the dogs were already considered
Yeah,
unlicensed for
unlicensed.
the year.
How many dogs licenses do we have in town?
Right now, we have
Just ballpark.
just about 2,250 dogs licensed.
So almost 3/4 were late. I was two of them. I will admit that. I was two of them. I paid and got out of that. But okay. So wow, that's a lot. Okay.
I
So
do also want to just point out, just for the record, Mr. Laycock has since licensed his dog.
Yep.
So,
And
Okay.
could I just throw something in there?
Yeah.
Okay. I knew none of this.
Yeah.
Okay? I knew absolutely none of what you guys have just said. Okay? I pay my taxes on time. I pay my trash bill on time. I pay everything on time.
Yeah.
Okay? I had no idea that the late dog license thing was gonna become this big Megillah.
Yeah.
I thought by paying the $25,
Yeah.
I'd get the new license, take care of the late fee,
Yeah.
and move on.
Yeah.
But you know, all this that you're coming up with, I don't follow this stuff.
And I understand that. So what it is when the clerk's office charges a fee,
Yep.
it's a paperwork fee. So that's what it is they're charging you because they have to go back in and either send a letter or make a phone call or do whatever they have to do. When we have a citation, it's because of the unlicensed dog part, which I understand all your paperwork's in town, and I know you said, well, if they look at the tag, it's got the information on it, and I understand that.
Yep.
But in the same respect, it's responsibility because, yeah, yes, yours is licensed every year, yours has rabies every year, and some of them are 2-year rabies, some are 3-year, it all
3 years.
depends.
Yep.
So now if you say, just stick with me for a second, I don't want to get lost, but
Yep.
say your permit, your license ended in 2015, okay, which it did, and
Yep.
you were due to. Now, if your rabies ended the same time and you didn't go and get your dog a rabies vaccination, you can't get your license in town until you have that rabies vaccination.
Correct.
So what we look for is when it's an unlicensed dog, and if your rabies vaccination ended that same year, we also look at it as a dog that's not vaccinated. So
Okay.
that's where the issues come in, and that's why the dog officer has to get involved.
But you have that record.
But we have it record, but if you ended that year, we have no new record, is what I'm saying. So if your rabies ended in 2015 and your license ended in 2015 and you're renewing in 2016, but you haven't renewed yet,
Yep.
we don't know if you have the vaccination yet.
So-
You have it now, and I understand that. But what I'm
Okay.
saying is, this is what we have to look at. We can't go through each and every 2,700 or 2,200 dogs' records, go to your address and say, did he get his thing? Did they mail it in? Did this happen? We take it from the clerk, because when the clerk sends us a thing upstairs and says, they paid, okay, that means we know the clerk makes sure that you have your rabies vaccination, and they make sure you're licensed. So when we don't get a license call from downstairs stating that this person is licensed, fireworks go off and we say, okay, do we have a dog that is susceptible to rabies running around in their yard? And we know that it's not loose, and I'm not saying that.
Yep.
So that's where all our stuff comes in. As a health department, I work for another town in a full-time health department. I run into
Westboro.
quarantine. Westboro, you got it. I run into quarantines. I've put 3 45-day quarantines on dogs in the last 3 weeks. I've taken 2 off 10 days. So it's one of those things where this is where the work starts. Amy shouldn't be chasing people to find out if their dog is vaccinated. And I'm not, and she sent out 650. That's a lot of time that she could be doing other work on. So the citation is to recoup losses of stuff that she should be doing. Because right now she's not maybe planning the next rabies clinic because she has to chase 650 people and send out letters and stuff like that. So, and I know $50 seems exorbitant. It's twice what your fee was plus your late fee, and I get that. I have 2 dogs. I paid late fees this year. I was not happy, but I had to do it because we forgot. And it's our own fault. It's our responsibility. We own dogs. So all I'm saying is we have to do what we have to do. And when a person like Amy, when she's supposed to be doing another thing, and now she has to chase all these other... Now, this is going to come quicker. I'll tell you what, 5 years ago, we had the same issue with restaurants. Restaurants weren't paying on time. And the same thing happened when we started throwing out fines. I had 15 people in here saying, whoa, we've never been fined before. I said, it's September. It's due in January. You need to pay. We could, when someone doesn't pay for a restaurant license, we can shut down the restaurant the very next day and say, you can't open. McDonald's, anybody. They could be a multinational corporation. We can say, you didn't pull your permit? We're sorry you're closed till you pay your permit. Oh, sorry, it's a weekend. You're going to have to wait till Monday. Now, we don't go and say, okay, you can't have a dog. We just say, hey, look, this is the stuff we have to do. We have to follow up, and that takes time and effort and money. She sent out letters. Well, we don't get letters for free. We have to pay for that. So there is a cost with everything we have to do. And not to sound rude about it, but sometimes when you hit somebody in the pocketbook, it never happens again. And I know I looked at your record. You've never been like this before. It's just this is the one time it happened, and I'm sorry, but this is the year we started cracking down, and that's why everybody's here tonight. Because like, wait a minute, this has never happened in the past. We can't always be behind. We've noticed it, and the town loses that revenue. They lose that money because if you don't apply till September, a lot of times the clerk's office says, well, we're not going to charge you the full fee for 2017 because you're paying now. We're just going to give you the extra 3 months. Well, they lost that revenue. And the town has to start saying, no, well, this is the date, and this is it, and that's it. Then they kick it upstairs to us, and then we have to chase. And we're the ones that do the chasing. So we look like the bad guys. The clerk isn't sitting up here saying, oh, yeah, you have to pay this fee. It's us. And so I'm the bad guy because I'm the chairman. So I'm the one that has to do all the talking. But I hope I explained it correctly. And I know you're not going to agree with it, and that's your right if you don't agree with it, and I perfectly understand.
Okay.
It's not it's not animosity. I'm just trying to uphold the bylaws that we have. And I understand you said you didn't know about the bylaws, the changed bylaws. It had been posted. It was we have to do all our hearings public, so it was a public hearing.
Okay.
So we do post the public hearings on this TV station, and I know not everybody goes to TV station. There's multiple
Okay.
ways they do a public hearing, and I don't want to be rude about it, but the old saying, old adage I grew up with that my dad drilled into me is ignorance of the law doesn't mean you don't have to abide by the law. And I'm not saying you're ignorant of the law, but you didn't know about it, and I understand that. And it's just when we get these things, I get it on trash, I get it on animals, and I get it on restaurants too.
Okay.
And we want to keep the town in the black and not in the red, so we're not struggling with.
That's why I pay my taxes.
And I
on time
understand that,
every year.
and I understand, and
Every quarter.
I read your letter, and I understand, and you do pay, and it's this one time it actually happened.
Okay.
And so what we'll do. Can
I just say one
yeah,
more
Oh yeah,
thing?
yeah. Go right ahead, sir.
Okay. Communication is the key to anything.
Yes.
Okay, anything in this world. Communication.
Yeah.
Okay, people talking to each other.
Mhm.
Okay, I feel as though what might have been a little bit more effective, especially for those of us who don't watch your weekly TV show.
Yep.
Okay, is okay. How about maybe when the tax bill does come out, and you have those, the dog renewal fees, whatever.
Yep.
How about just sending some type of a letter out to people rather than a citation for $25? For those of us that don't watch the weekly
Yeah.
meetings,
Yep.
okay, let me finish.
No, I'm listening. Yeah.
Let me finish, okay? And just say, okay, so you will be subject to a $25 citation if you don't take care of this, okay?
Yep. Yep.
Let's communicate.
Mhm.
Let's talk to the people in the way most people communicate, which is by letter or by email these days. Very few people do it by phone call, so we're not even
Yeah.
going to go there.
Yep.
Okay?
Mhm.
So all I'm saying is perhaps that would have been more informative
Mhm.
and have a little bit more clout, and perhaps it would have been responded to a little bit more seriously. Not seriously, yeah, I'll say
Yeah,
seriously.
seriously, yeah, I understand that.
Because as far as I knew, I just had to pay the late fee and
Yeah.
the thing. And that's all I'm saying. I don't, I'm not, I don't mean this to sound flip,
No.
but I'm not a townie. All I do is get my tax bills, pay them, go to work, pay my trash bill, make sure the trash bin goes out.
Yeah.
I don't follow all that stuff.
And we.
And all I'm saying is, if I had gotten a letter from you guys saying, okay, starting this year, and if I'm not mistaken, I don't think that was done. Starting this year, you're going to be subject to a $25 citation. That was done?
Respectfully, Mr. Laycott, our animal control officer did send out letters. Amy, if you could
If
respond.
I could just add to that.
Sure.
So actually, when I started the position last year, January 2015, it was part of my goal to kind of work on the license and clean up the database. So 2015, I actually sent out 2,100 letters between April and June as a reminder to people that their dogs were unlicensed at that point when those letters went out. I did
Okay.
that process again this year. So between May and June, I sent out a notice to about 1,600 people that in our database weren't licensed at that time. So those letters did go out to let people know their dog was unlicensed, that if they do not license their dog, they could be subject to fines. It is a $50 citation that's actually set by Mass General Law. So we did send out a warning to people to let them know that their dog is unlicensed, please license. I tried to time those letters before July 1st, before those late fees even kick in.
Okay,
So-
I don't recall ever seeing that.
Okay, and I did also send out emails. So February 29th, I sent out over 200 emails to anybody that had provided an email to us in our database.
Never got
So if
it.
on your dog licensing application, if you put in an email address, then I have that available in our database, and when next year rolls around, I can send out that reminder again. I can only work with the information that's provided to me.
Okay.
But I do try to send out notices to residents, give them fair warning, not only of the citation that might come later on, but also warning that if you don't license by July
Okay.
1st, that there are going to be additional late fees as well, even though at that time the dog is already considered unlicensed.
Okay, and I'll tell you right now, I never got those.
Okay.
For whatever reason, I don't know. Okay? But once again, what I'm saying, what I definitely look at is my tax bill.
Yeah.
And
And I don't think we're allowed to put anything in the tax bill.
Well,
isn't there something in there about renewing your dog license?
That's
Isn't
something
it-
they
That's
put
the
on,
census.
that's the
Separate.
clerks,
That's in the
that's the clerks,
census.
that's a census.
So the census is
That's the thing,
is a
is-
way.
Could you guys send me an organization chart one of these days?
It's one of those things, it's very, yeah, I'm with
Okay.
you on that. It's disjointed. We don't send out the trash bills, but we're in charge
Okay.
of making sure everybody pays. The same thing, we don't send out the bills for dogs, but we're in charge of making sure everybody pays.
Okay.
So there is that little bit of disconnect. But
Okay.
we're not allowed to put anything in the tax bills, but it is on the census. When it comes in on the census, the card gets mailed in, it comes up, after they pay, it comes upstairs to us, to our office.
Okay. Raymond, I don't mean to cut you short.
Yep.
But there are
Yeah, no, and I
4 other
understand.
people in the room.
Yep,
I have nothing further to say, so if you guys
Okay.
wanna,
okay.
you know, I've said my piece,
No, and I
and I don't want
appreciate-
this to go on all night and tie up these
No.
people as well.
That's fine. Okay, so at this point, we can, yeah, go
I'll
ahead.
make a motion to close the evidence part of this hearing.
The discussion part?
Aye, thank you, discussion.
I think we discussed everything.
Yes. How do you vote? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So at this point, we can make a motion to withdraw the fine. We can make a motion to uphold the fine, or we can make a motion to reduce the fine. So right now, it stands as a $50 fine. So we can reduce it by half, 50%. We can do a $25 fine. Or we can say, no, you have to pay the whole thing, or we say nothing at all. So do you have a motion you'd like to make? Well, you can discuss it with me too.
Yeah,
What are
I
you
would
looking
like
to do?
Discuss it with you.
Okay. This is my feeling on it.
Yeah, you're more experienced.
Yes, it's one of those things where it is a finable offense, but as Mr. Laycock did bring up, this is the first time. So I do think there should be a fine, but I'm thinking possibly, and if you're, I think maybe we should cut it in half. But this would be the only year we cut it in half. From now on, it would be the fee, because now we set a precedent. So if you want to make a motion, go right ahead.
Okay, I'll make a motion to decrease the fee by half, $25.
Okay.
Wasn't it 25 originally, though?
It's
Oh.
50.
50.
It's a
Well, it was 50.
it's a $50
Yes,
fine.
sir.
So,
Okay.
Yeah.
all right. So you're making a motion, and now you have to add you have to add the
Okay.
street name in
Okay, thank
and
you.
individualize. So it's second page.
Okay. And that motion is for Gerald Laycock on 12 Aurora Street here in Auburn.
Okay, and you want to reduce the fine by $25 to make it a $25 fee?
That is correct.
Okay, I second the motion. It is a roll call vote. How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. So 2-0. There's still gonna be a fee, but we're gonna cut it in half for you, just because there is that thing.
Okay.
We don't take it here.
Oh, no, we gotta come back?
You can, you
Well-
can send it in the mail if you want, or
Are you, okay,
if you have a check,
Because
sir,
we don't.
can take a check, but not cash
Yeah,
right now.
we can't take cash at this point.
okay, so
So you,
what do I do?
um,
Who do I send the 25 to? Her?
So you can actually send it to the town of Auburn.
Okay. Okay,
Or the town clerk.
Town clerk,
okay, to the town clerk
yes, sir.
and then you should just we'll send a note to the town clerk
Regarding-
saying
Well, regarding the
So you have-
licensing late fee.
you have a copy of this, correct? This is the citation you received.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We're gonna
so,
send a notice down.
so they'll get a notice down saying that it's been reduced to $25.
Yep.
So if you send that in with the citation, you can cross it off, put $25 instead of the fine amount where it says 50.
That thing?
No.
No, it was the other page.
Should look something
This thing? No.
like that.
Okay,
All right. So where it says $50, you cross it out, put 25.
is this mine?
No, that one's mine.
You get a copy here?
Yeah, we can actually.
Do you want me to
Go ahead,
do
hold on to that one. We have another one
And
here.
just change the fine amount to 25?
25. We'll send a letter down stating that it's been reduced to $25.
You wanna put your initials on that?
We
We
will,
have
we'll
to send a
it,
letter.
sir.
They need a letter with my signature on the letter. So, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Whitecomb.
You're very welcome.
Motion to close the
I'll
hearing.
get that out to you.
I make a
Thank-
motion to close the hearing.
I second the motion. How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, sir.
Thank
You
You're
have a
very
good night.
welcome. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Sorry,
Okay.
took so long, guys.
All right. The next hearing is 845 Oxford Street, and it is now 6:38. I'd like to open the hearing. And sir, if you could step up and give your name for the record, please.
My name's Anthony Descanio.
Okay, I gotta find out. I think that's. I'm lost. That one.
Here, take it.
Oh,
Oh, right here.
Oh, it's
Right
on
on
top.
Yep.
Oh, it had your post-it note. It wasn't yellow. That's what screwed me up. Okay, so now that we have a lot of the stuff that was discussed in the first one won't need to be rediscussed. You can still ask questions, but we went over some of the people didn't know about the bylaws, so now the bylaws out there, and I think Amy's gone over how she ran through. If you need us to update you on that and go over it again, we will, no problem. The first hearing on something like this always takes the longest, and the other ones are usually pretty quick. So, at this point, I'd like to open the evidentiary part of the hearing. Amy, you've already gone through the bylaw. Can you just go through this gentleman's issue? Or
Yes.
fine.
So we did issue a citation for an unlicensed dog on August 30th, 2016 in regards to Otto, a boxer mix, who was licensed in 2015. So we did have a record that a license had been purchased for Otto in September of 2015. So that license would have expired this past April of 2016. When it wasn't renewed, we did go through the process of sending out the letter that went out between May and June. When we did receive a response to that, we did issue the citation this past August for that unlicensed dog.
Okay. All right. So, Anthony, if you want to just, I have your letter, but can you just give me a quick rundown?
Yeah. Does it say my name again?
No, you already said it for the record. You're good.
I'm a first-time dog owner,
Okay.
so all this stuff is new to me. Upon first, Otto was licensed September 28th of 2015. Upon that, I have notes in my books where I was told that it comes in the census for when I renew all of his stuff. I mean, even knowing what a census was impressive. I did receive the reminder by mail in June of 2016. My sister received one as well for her dog, Kiera. On June 6th, my sister did make a phone call in regards to hers because we're both new dog owners. And so she also asked about Otto's information because I thought a year is a year, not
Yeah.
it runs out.
Okay.
She spoke to Deborah Grimo, and while on the phone, they said that the dogs were all set and did not have to be registered till later on in the year.
Okay.
Received a violation notice in the mail for dog license. That would be early September. My sister did not receive one of those violations. She called on September 6th. There was no answer. Proceeded to call throughout the day. Nobody called back. And that was on September 6th. September 13th, tried again. There was no calls. Amy returned the call September 14th, 2016, and said that there was nothing else that could be done about the violation, even though upon first asking on June 6th, we were told that the dogs were okay. Otto is registered as of Monday, September 19th, 2016.
Okay, before we close the evidentiary part of the hearing, any other evidence? Do you have anything that you have to add?
Sure. In regards to your sister's dog, Kira, Otto and Kira were licensed at separate times.
Okay.
So Anthony's dog Otto was licensed in September. Kira was licensed in December, and she had actually purchased a 2016 license because I believe she licensed December 21st. So the town clerk's office did issue her a couple days early, that 2016. So that might have been some of the confusion right there, because where you purchased 2015 a couple months prior, it would have expired in 2016. I can't speak for what was
Okay.
said with the town clerk's office, though.
Okay. All right.
I make a motion to close the evidentiary part of the hearing.
I second the motion. How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so we're in discussion now. Okay, so just for, I know you, for clarification, we do dogs on an annual basis. Because if we did every time your dog, if you came in September, we might have 40 going out in September, 200 going out in November. So we do it on a year-round basis.
Yeah, again,
So-
that was just the census. I know it was end
Yeah.
of the year, so
Yeah.
when I was told that, I didn't.
Yeah, so I know in the past, the office downstairs will usually, if you pay October or November, sometimes they just say, okay, we're just gonna charge you for the year, and they don't charge you for the year you're in. And sometimes they do that. I don't know why it wasn't done, well, I think it was September, that's why it wasn't. If it would probably been November or December, she may have given you the full year. I can't speak for Deb downstairs, what she said. Maybe she looked and said, oh yeah, you're all set. Didn't realize. At something like that, there should have been some communication between downstairs and upstairs. Amy should have gotten a call just saying, oh, why don't you check, oh, well, you got this notification from Amy, let's check with Amy, and then Amy could have discussed with her, then say, give me a week, I'll get back to you, and then they could have discussed and said, no, Deb is wrong, you weren't done, and then give you that opportunity. That wasn't done here. That is a mistake on our part, and I get that. There's also, you're new for dog ownership. You did it in September. You got a great timeline. I'll tell you that right now. You have everything. That's great. I always tell people, write things down. It's the only way to know things are done. Because it gives me, you had the exact date you talked to Deb, and Deb's not going to remember what she said that day. So what I'm looking at here is, it was late. You did the census in September. The first letter went out. You did make contact with the town clerk,
And the 25 has already been paid.
yeah, you paid the same thing. You paid your fee and your late fee. And it said, when you got that first letter that went out in June, you
Yeah.
called Deb, and you didn't call Amy at that time?
No, it was my sister that made the phone call because she also received one.
Okay.
So she,
Oh, that was that the late notice, or was that the unregistered dog? Unlicensed dog.
yeah.
The unlicensed dog one. He's got everything. I
So
like that.
what may clarify is September
Actually, I
was
don't have that.
when the citations went out. So you probably didn't have, there wasn't a citation issued at the first time your sister called
Oh.
in June.
But the letter went out saying unregistered at that, unlicensed dog
In June.
in June.
Oh.
Okay, so the call you made was to the clerk's office. All right. Okay, I'm just trying to make sure I know
Yeah.
who went where, because you called the clerk's office and the letter came from us. So I understand you called because you're like, hey, this is where I license my dog, so I need to call them. So, all right. Do you have a copy of one of those letters on you or no?
I do not.
Okay, all right. Do you don't have a copy
No,
of the
I
letter?
don't have that
Okay.
one.
All right, that's
The
fine.
letter, I mean, Amy can basically tell you, on the letter, it's going to be basically the date that we're sending it out. It's going to cite the bylaw that's being referenced, and then it's also going to say, you know, this, you're in violation of this bylaw at
Yeah.
this time, and so that.
My question is your contact information in the letter? Does it say contact me at the Board of Health at this number, at this
It
email?
does have my phone
It does,
number on
okay.
there.
All right. Well, that's what I'm looking at, 'cause if it wasn't on there, then he did the best thing. He called the clerks, got the wrong information. So,
On the reverse side of the letter, it does also have the dog license application.
which is the back of the letter, yeah.
Yeah, and it does include contact information for the clerk's
Clerk's
office
office.
as well, so I do
Okay.
understand if there's.
There could be some confusion at that point. Okay. All right. You have anything? Any discussion? Any questions to ask?
No, I think you did a great job.
Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah, everything was, usually, like, people are guessing, but that's great, you had
Good
everything there.
record-keeping.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah, that's gonna get you far, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Well, it's only good record keeping on my dog's side.
Personal stuff, you don't do it. Well, you know something, I always tell people my two dogs are the most important things in my house right now. My daughter, since she turned 15, dropped down the list a little bit, so, okay. So at this point, do you have no more questions, no more?
I have no more questions.
Okay,
I
would-
make a motion to close the discussion part of the hearing.
I second the motion, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, do you have a motion?
I would be inclined to make a motion to let this one pass, given his attempts to try to rectify the situation.
Okay, so you want to put that in a, you got to put it in with name,
Yes,
address,
okay,
and
alright.
your motion.
I
Please.
make a motion for Anthony Descanio, address 845 Oxford Street, Auburn, to change the citation to 0 or to
Abate
the citation.
Okay, actually, wait a minute. No, it's appeal the citation. How do you want it? Abate or
So,
appeal? How do you want it?
You are approving the appeal.
Approve the appeal.
Approve the appeal.
Okay. All right, I second the motion for discussion. I'm sorry, no. I second the motion. How do you vote? It's a roll call vote. Carolyn, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ray votes aye. So we will send a letter to the clerk's office and you will get a letter back stating that this will be, your appeal will be held up, it will be upheld. And that's it. So keep the records, keep it going. I'll tell you what, if you didn't have those records, you probably wouldn't have gotten the appeal because you had everything in the letter, everything was perfect. And there are mistakes made on both sides. It's the responsibility of the dog owner to make sure everything's right, and it's also responsibility, if someone doesn't know the answer, they shouldn't be given an answer, or they could have been confused. So, if you have any questions, make a call to Amy.
You got it.
All right, I appreciate it, thank you very much.
very much.
Hope the dogs are doing well, and thank you for coming.
Oh, yeah, he's good.
Motion to close?
I second the motion. Aye.
Thank you
All right,
very
you're all
much.
set. Thank you very much.
We'll send notice to the town clerk.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Have a great night.
Thank you. Okay, we are on our third hearing. We are 11 Idlewood Drive. Anybody here from 11 Idlewood Drive? Okay, I'm going to open the hearing at 6:50. And I will open the evidentiary part. And Amy, just run down real quick.
Okay, so in regards to 11 Idlewood Drive, 2 citations were issued on August Yep, sorry, August 29th, 2016, in regards to two unlicensed dogs, Gia and Tyson. Gia and Tyson were licensed in 2015, no years prior. So then again, this year they were late as of August on their licensing. They have since licensed as of August 1st. So both dogs have been licensed, late fees paid. So there's just the outstanding citations.
Okay. All right. Well, since no one is here for that, the evidence part is more or less says they paid late. They copy of medical records. I don't know why we have convenience fee. Why she's mentioning convenience fees. That has nothing to do with us. So she's asking for financial forgiveness in regards to the violation fee of $100. I will make notations in my calendar for the future years. My questions. All right. Well, let's close the evidentiary. We read the letter, so
I make a motion to close the evidentiary part of the hearing.
I second the motion. How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, discussion.
So I assume then she would have gotten a letter as well saying that you're now late, you'll have to pay if you don't get you'll get a citation if you don't pay by such and such date.
Yep,
like
the letter
everyone
would have
else.
gone out the end of May or June for both of the dogs. We actually send out one letter per dog, so it has the dog's name, so people
Okay.
understand which dog they're getting a notice for.
Okay. I mean, it is, it says she forgot, which, okay, that's
Yeah.
honesty.
Yeah.
Both my dogs have to deal with vaccines. I can email a copy of the medical record, not fax it. The medical records, I mean, in order to get, they're licensed, so we know we have the medical records, so that's not an issue there. So what we have, all right. Any other discussion? Do you have anything to add in our discussion?
No.
Okay. Do you have anything for discussion? All right.
I make a motion to close the discussion part of the hearing.
I second the motion. How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Do you have a motion?
I have a motion to uphold the citation.
Okay. You have to.
Oh gosh, I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. Regarding Erica Friend, address 11 Idlewood Drive, I have a motion to uphold the citation.
If I could just clarify, because there's two separate citations.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
it's
you
on.
gotta do.
Thank
We
you.
gotta do.
Okay.
Is there a name on the first one? I don't.
There's, the animals' names are Gia,
Okay.
J-I-A,
Okay.
and Tyson,
Okay.
T-Y-S-O-N.
Actually, tell you what.
Let's see.
Let's go because we don't know which one belongs to which. Let's go by
Right.
citation number.
Gotcha.
There's 2612 and 2613. So.
Okay. I
So
make-
start again, and you gotta do them separate.
I make a motion for Erica Friend, 11 Idlewood Drive, citation 2612, to uphold the citation.
Okay. I second the motion. How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Next
I
motion.
make the motion for Erica Friend, 11 Idlewood Drive, citation number 2613, to uphold the citation.
I second the motion. How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, at this time, we want to take a motion to close the
I'd like
hearing.
to take a motion to close the hearing.
I second the motion, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, a letter will be going out for that one. Okay, moving along, we have 4 Laurel Lane. Okay. And it is 7:54, I can't even read. 6:54, yeah, 6:54. It's been a long day, very long day. 6:54, like to open the hearing, and if you could just say your name for the record, please.
Kim Ramsey.
Okay. And as you've seen before, we're going to be in the evidence part of the hearing, so I'm just going to have Amy just go over the citation, and then I'll let you have your speak. Okay? Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. So on August 29th, 2016 of this year, I did issue 2 citations to Ms. Renzi at 4 Laurel Lane for 2 unlicensed dogs. One dog being Rufus, a 3-year-old hound mix, and the second being Coda, a slightly younger, looks like around 2 years old, German Shepherd mix. Both dogs were previously licensed in in 2015. And Ms. Renzi has since licensed the dogs for 2016 on September 26th. It is 2 citations, each $50 for each dog that was
Okay.
issued.
All right. We did receive your letter, but if you could just give me a quick rundown of everything for me, please.
Just basically, honestly, just forgot, it's been a very rough, tough year.
Okay.
My husband was out of work, had back surgery, then I lost my mother-in-law, then my daughter had surgery in April, so it's just been crazy, and unfortunately, the dogs were not the top of priority.
Okay. Oh, there we go.
For an abatement,
Sure.
is
Trash
it in
abatement?
here? Yes. Oh,
Yep, come and join us.
Okay. Yeah, so who has a copy of the letter, because I couldn't.
Handwritten it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there is?
Yeah,
All right.
there's a sticky one. that
Oh,
says-
okay. There we go.
Sorry about that.
I know I had read all the letters, but I just want to make sure I have the correct ones in the right spot.
I have been late paying before, you know, I've always paid the little fine. But I've always registered my dogs, always had their health records. Honestly, just, it was a bad year.
Okay. We all have them. But yeah, I believe me, we all have them. Okay. Any more evidence to give, or we all set with that? Okay.
Make a motion to close the evidentiary part of the hearing.
I second the motion. How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, discussion. So you can ask any questions. You can.
Do you recall getting the letter talking, that Amy
I
sent
don't
out about the
honestly
fine?
remember that letter. All I remember is getting this one and going, oh my, you know, I forgot. But I do not remember getting that letter. I honestly don't. And I'm not a social media person, so I don't follow anything on social media either.
That's fine.
I felt like the guy you had here first.
Yeah. No. And that's
But-
fine. We're trying to find ways to reach everybody.
I know.
And it's
It's-
tough
I mean,
because everybody's different.
But again, it's not yours, it's mine.
Yeah,
I know
so-
that I have to do that every year, and I just, honestly.
It's spaces. Like I tell them before, I was late on my dogs.
I know.
And we got a letter or a phone call. My wife said, I gotta go pay. And she went and
Yeah,
paid for the
I
dogs.
know,
So
I'm
it
just-
happens. All right. Any more discussion?
No, I make a motion to close the discussion part of the hearing.
All right. I second the motion. And don't forget, we have 2 dogs here, so you have to do them separate. All right. So why don't you start with 2639? Is that the?
Yeah, I'm not sure how. Yeah, I have the same file,
Yep.
2640, so.
So how do you want it? Well, discuss it if you're not ready.
Yeah.
Well, how do you want it?
So, yeah, I'm just trying to,
So the same
Think
thing.
about
The same thing as before.
yeah.
You can uphold. You can uphold the citation. You can, with more or less, say no to the citation, or we can reduce the fine.
to maybe, oh, yeah. Go ahead.
I'm thinking, you know, I know that a lot of work went into all this, and
Yeah.
not to cut Amy's legs out from under her, but I think maybe this year, like I said on the first gentleman, I do not have a problem with going partial fines, just because we do have to cover costs, we do have to cover mailings and all that stuff. So I think people will be they're not going to be happy, but they'll be a little happier that it's not the full cost; it might be partial cost. So that's my feeling on it. So you make
feel
whatever
comfortable
decision
with
you
that.
Could I say
Yes,
something?
sure.
I just want to know, like, if you do cut the fine, how much time do you have to pay that? I know it's only $25, but my husband's just getting back to work, getting on his feet.
We
So
can
I just
discuss
wanna
that.
know, like, how much time would I have
I
to?
So
don't.
it's a great question.
Yeah, I don't think that do we do late fees on
No,
citations.
we wouldn't do a late fee on it, but we had, when the initial fine did go out, we allowed 21 days for the resident to pay it. So the board could consider 21 days
All right.
for payment, or if you wanted to extend it to 30.
Yeah.
It's a little bit harder to capture, you know, the longer it goes out.
Yeah.
So, 21 days is what
What the original was.
the original fine outlined. And so if these folks obviously had requested an appeal, the rest of the people that paid them within 21 days.
Yep. Okay.
All right,
So now
So-
does that help you out?
yep,
Okay.
yep. So in the matter of Kim Horanzi on 4 Laurel Lane, citation number 2639, I make a motion to reduce the citation by half with a 30-day repayment period.
Okay, I second the motion.
Aye.
Oh, how do you vote?
Oh, aye.
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 Okay, so
And-
secondly,
In the matter of Kim Horanzi on 4 Laurel Lane, on citation 2640, I make a motion to take the citation in half with also a 30-day repayment period.
okay, I second the motion. How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. At this time, so what's gonna happen is we will send a letter downstairs letting them know. So the fine, so instead of a $100 fine, you'll be paying a $50 fine.
I appreciate that.
You know, we try to help out best we can, so, just keep in touch if there's any, you know, we all have bad years and I understand that, and, you know, just do what you can to help us out, we'll help you out the best we can.
Oh, no,
Well,
listen, I'll make sure I pay.
Yeah, so, if,
Believe me, it would have been cheaper to pay the $10 or $15, and
Yes, and
I'm
we
up to
understand.
150 at this point.
Yeah,
so.
I know, and that's what we understand. So that's why we like to knock down the fee as much as we can.
Now, how much time do you need to make sure they know downstairs? So I like to just come in and pay, if that's all right.
You'll know tomorrow.
They'll know
they'll know
tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, so you do have the 30 days if you need it, but the sooner you get it in, the better it is.
Yeah.
And then we're going to be starting on January. We'll be starting on next year, getting everything caught up and up to date.
Okay.
Thank you very much
Thank
for coming
you.
in.
Thank you.
Take a motion.
Have a good night.
Motion to
Thank you.
close the hearing?
I second the motion. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, we are at 36 Wellman Street, and it is now 7:03. And if you could just state your name for the record, please.
I'm Jacqueline Briley.
How are you tonight, Jacqueline?
Very good.
All right. So, yeah, I opened the hearing, right? Yeah, I did. Okay. It's tough getting old. So you've heard what's going on here, so you know the information we're going to be giving. So at this point, I'm just going to go right over to Amy. Amy, if you could give me the your end of it.
So for Ms. Brierly, on August 30th, 2016, a citation was issued for an unlicensed dog at 36 Wellman Street. The dog was Jackson, a 7-month-old golden retriever. Jackson is a new dog in town. He had just reached approximately 7 months old. Dogs are required by state law and by town bylaw to be licensed at 6 months. So when the citation went out, Jackson was considered unlicensed at that time.
Okay.
Ms. Brierly did have a previous dog, Ricky, that we do have a very good licensing history on, licensed 2012 until his passing September 2015.
Okay. I did receive your letter. I have read it. So you purchased the puppy in April, correct?
Correct.
All right. So if you can just go from there and just give me a quick rundown, and then we'll move this on so you can go home.
Okay, I purchased him in April. I had his rabies shots actually the first week that I purchased him. And didn't really think anything about licensing a puppy.
Yep.
He was 4 months old when I got him. So after speaking to Amy, I realized I only had a 2-month window in which to license Jackson. Although at this point, he's digging holes in my backyard, so he's now Jerkson.
Sounds like my lab.
But anyway, I just think that, you know, first of all, with the bylaws, I thought that you registered your dog when you received the town census, which I've always done, and mailed it in and received my licenses in the mail. And that's basically what I was planning to do with this puppy.
Sure.
So, you know, when I received the call, it was just, I had no idea. I had a 2-month window in which to license him or be fined.
Okay.
So I have licensed him, he has been neutered, and I request that this whole citation and fine be taken away because it just seems like such a small amount of time when I don't know the first of all, where are the bylaws? Are they online, or how does the average person know about the bylaws?
Sure,
Get
so
'em online.
that's a great question. The bylaws for the town are listed on the town website. So if you go on the homepage, you can click on the bylaws. You may have seen last year, we had several public hearings. I want to say something like 12.
Yeah.
There
Oh,
were
wow.
a series of public meetings that we focused time on updating the bylaws, different sections. So they weren't all done in one night, tried to break it up over time. And so last year, that was something that we spent a lot of time doing. In the bylaws, we have a canine care and an animal care bylaw that was added, and a lot of things clarified. So if you request information for the bylaws, we would obviously recommend you to go to the town website.
Do they keep copies at the library? I know in the past year
I
they
think they
have.
probably have a copy there.
So-
I can't.
Well, I just like,
wouldn't
because
wanna
there are some
go out
people who
on a
don't go
limb.
online, so I think there should be copies there.
they probably have a copy
They
in the
usually
town
have
clerk's
something there,
office
and the
as well.
clerk's office too,
Yeah.
so. Okay, so that's the evidence. Any more evidence to be given? Okay,
I make a motion at this time to close the evidentiary part of the hearing.
I second the motion. How do you vote?
Aye?
Aye, all right, discussion. I'll let you start. Do you have any questions before because I'm gonna go.
Yeah. No?
Okay, all right, so Jackson was 4 months in April, correct?
Correct.
So it turned 8 months in August.
Correct.
And that's when you got the fine or the citation, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So, but you had received letters saying that the dog was unlicensed before that?
Well, I received one letter saying that Ricky was unlicensed, and I called the town
You said
and,
Ricky had
and-
passed?
yeah.
Okay. All right. So the dog actually turned 6 months in June,
correct.
so the end of June. All right. So my math might be wrong. So if dogs have to be licensed by March 31st, and dogs don't have to be licensed till they're 6 months old, that was a 2-month window there where the dog didn't have to be licensed, so the dog would have to be licensed by, say, mid-June if the dog was born in mid-January. Okay, just go with me. I actually have a point. It takes me a while. I kind of go in a circle and then I get to it. So what I'm looking at here is everybody else that was here tonight, their dog should have been licensed March 31st. Your dog should have been licensed June 15th. So you're in a different situation because I don't see the 4-month wait that I saw on almost everybody else that was in here. Okay? I see a 2-month. I see the puppy was 6 months in June. You get a citation in August. It's a tighter window than everybody else had. So if we were here in November, I'd probably say, yes, you're 4 months over than what you would do. But we're here in October, and you had sent the paperwork in. We didn't have a meeting last month, so that's my fault. So I don't have any questions. I just wanted to say that I feel you have a very good track record with us. Everything's been fine. I understand Darlene did mention that we did have a lot of meetings, but at that point, you had a dog, so that wouldn't have concerned you as much as people who are getting new dogs and licensing and all that stuff. So that probably didn't cross your mind, and I understand that too. And all right, so Jackson doing well besides digging up your yard?
Yes.
All right, good. All right, I have no more discussion. Do you have anything?
No. Make a motion to close the discussion part of this hearing.
I second that motion. Do you have a, would you like to make a motion on
I'd
this
like
one?
to make a motion for Jacqueline Briley of 36 Wellman Street to,
You get a citation number.
thank you, citation 2978, to have a no pay status on the citation, to waive the citation, basically.
Okay, so we have Jack and Briley, 36 Wellman Street, 2978, and you want to, what was the word you had me use before?
Approved.
Approve the
The appeal.
appeal for the
Thank you.
citation. I second that motion, and it is a roll call vote. How do you vote?
Aye?
Ray votes aye. So you're all set.
Thank you.
Just, you know, you've had a great track record in the
Yeah.
past. We're gonna keep that up. As you know, it's a new year. We have a new animal control officer, and we're thrilled with the job she's doing. Like she said, she sent over 1,600 notices for late dogs this year, and we want to make sure everybody pays on time and keeps the town safe. So that's it. Well, thank you very much for coming out.
All right. Well,
Sorry
thank
it
you.
took so long, but
I just have a question.
sure.
Okay, so I paid my license fee. And you probably have nothing to do with this, it's probably the wrong office, but the check was cash, but I've never received the license.
Okay. Can you check on that?
Okay,
Amy?
yep, I can check with the town clerk's office.
Okay.
They're the ones that physically issue dog licenses. I enforce the dog licenses, but I can check with them tomorrow morning to see, just to make sure that your license was actually mailed out.
Can you make sure you call her and let her know
Yes.
to make sure
Yeah.
she's all set?
Only because I want to register at Tufts.
Yeah.
You're aware of the beautiful, well, obviously, you live in
Yeah.
Westboro.
Yeah.
And I have to have the license on me to bring him up there.
Yeah. So, all right.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much for your
Thank
time.
you.
Just a
Oh,
question, just so we have an idea. Do you know when it is that you paid?
No,
September 20th.
September,
Okay.
I think the check was written out September 2nd.
Okay, so within the past couple weeks?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and I
so-
think the check was cashed. I wrote the check out the 2nd, it was cashed the 23rd.
Okay, so I don't want to speak for the town clerk,
It
but I
could be just
know
backed.
because they're in the election season, they're trying to balance
Okay.
dog licensing and everything that
All
they
right.
have to do for the election, so
Okay.
we'll make sure that your license gets sent
All
out.
right, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for your
very much.
patience.
I'd like to make a motion to close the hearing.
I second. How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so we're a little behind, but we have, is anyone here from 22 Arrowhead?
So,
Because
yeah,
we
I
can
just
move,
wanted
we can move the others forward as long as the time
Yeah,
constraints
the,
work. I
the
can-
owner for 22 Arrowhead informed me that he was not going to be
All right,
at the
so
hearing, so if you want to,
I'm gonna bump that one to
Sure.
the end so we
Sure.
can move these others up because everybody's here on time, so.
sure.
Okay, so the next one is a trash abatement request for 11 Elm and 22 Leslie Ave. Is that one person doing both?
I'm 11 Elm.
Oh, okay, so we have two separate ones. So, okay, so we have 11 Elm, trash abatement request, 7:10 hearing. I'm opening the hearing at 7:14. If you'd like to step up and give your name for the record, please.
My name's Laurie Telesco, and it's from my mother, Irene Mason, who lives at 11 Elm Street.
Okay, thank you.
She's 93 years old, currently residing at the Auburn Life Care Center.
Okay, so Darlene, it's your turn to talk tonight. Now you can give me evidence.
Sure. Good evening. Thank you for coming. The Assessor's Department received a abatement request and stop service from the property owner Irene Mason. I believe Laurie, is it okay to call you Laurie? Laurie had come in on behalf of her mom to put a stop service on the trash, and also she had put in a abatement request. I think originally you came in September 13th for the stop service, and then she came within a week and a half or so after to ask for a trash abatement.
And which one is being abated? Is it January to June or July to December?
Let me just, I'll
Okay.
tell
All right,
you
all right, go ahead,
first,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, for the property, for stop service was processed, in September, so, September 21st, I did a site visit. The property is a single-family home, the yard is maintained, the toters were present, they were brought to the end of the driveway, and as Laurie has stated, her mom is currently in a rehab. So we concurred that the stop service can go through. The property was listed as vacant. So the toters have been removed. And then the trash abatement came in shortly after. The bill that is being requested is bill number 4186
The one that was just paid in July.
Yep.
for 2017.
Yep, I see.
So
7/1/2016.
Yeah, fiscal
Okay.
year 2017, bill number 4186, and that's going to be in the amount of $88? Is that
Yeah,
correct?
it's in the 80s, I'm not
Yep.
exactly
Yeah, it's
positive.
88. That's what I have here. Okay.
I don't know if there's any interest or late fees on that, but $88 is the amount that we have
So,
listed.
okay. Actually, I'm not going to ask questions now. That's for discussion. So, what is your evidence? You just got to tell me your side, and that's it.
Just that she's not there and
Okay.
she's in the Life Care Center and don't know where she's gonna be from here, how long.
Okay.
Just didn't seem to me.
When did she go into life care?
The second week of September, about, let me think, well, she was in the hospital before that, so shortly after the beginning of September, she went
Okay.
into the hospital and then into the rehab.
And up until September, she was using the trash.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. I'm not supposed to be talking during this section. All right. Can you make that
Sure.
motion before I
Make
continue?
a motion to close the evidentiary portion of the hearing.
I second that motion, and I'm opening up discussion, and that's when I should be asking questions. Okay, so we're looking at approximately 2 months it's been used, 2.5 months. Okay, so everything's off, like you said.
Toters have been
Toters have been
removed.
removed, and there's still 3 months really left on the contract. So, and so you're looking for an abatement of the $88, and now that was paid
She,
on time before that. Yeah, okay. Well, no, I'm just saying, make sure. So that means there'll be no interest or anything like that because according to our records, it doesn't show any interest. It shows it was paid on
At this time, right?
At this
right, At the
time.
time the bill and the paperwork came up to us, we're showing $88.
Yeah. So that they would have usually they send up the tax or any fees they send up to us. So it just shows that she was paid on time. So what you're looking for is money back because she's no longer using the service. All right, good. Just want to long day. All right, let's see. All right, do you have any questions, discussions?
No, I don't.
Okay. Have you been here for a trash one yet?
Yes,
Okay.
but not quite in
All
this
right.
sort of situation.
So what I see is everything was done in a timely manner. I mean, within a week of her going into life care, you stopped trash, and then you asked for an abatement. So it's not like she went in July and you asked to stop trash in September. You did everything right in line with everything. So that's good. So the service was used for 2 months. I'm trying to think. We've done trash multiple times, and have we done half off on a thing?
So, I was just,
I'm trying to
checking
remember.
see. So we send out bills twice a year.
Yep.
And so we do, billing for 6 months at a time.
Yep.
So in the past, I know that, the board obviously takes case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
But the board has voted if somebody has used a portion of that billing cycle, then, you have upheld the entire bill. If the board wanted to consider partial abatement, you obviously,
Yeah.
are within your realm. If the, Laurie, you said your mom went in to some facility into September?
well, I'm trying to think exactly. If I look at my, wait, 1 second, let me just look at this and I can tell you exactly when she went in. She went into the Life Care Center. She was in the hospital on the 8th of September, and she went into the Life Care Center on the 12th of
Okay.
September.
Can we
Alright.
do partial
No. Okay.
early September?
8th, September 8th.
Yeah. All right. So everything was done pretty much in line. So I don't mean to bring up a tough subject. Is she planning on going back to the house?
We don't know what's going to happen
All right.
at this point.
So at
If
this
she-
point, you're shutting off the trash. And if she does go back, then you'll
She would
read,
probably come to my house if
It-
there's any, I mean, we just don't know what's
Yeah.
gonna happen yet. That's
Okay.
why I
Yeah,
figured
no,
it was
yep, we
something to-
understand that.
to just
Yep,
do
that's,
at
that's
this
fine.
point.
All right, so we've done, usually, if like Darlene said, we do by case basis. You're on top of everything, just like the gentleman who kept all the tight notes. So the service was used into September, and it was pulled out before September. So what I would be willing to do, and this is if you're on board with this, is abate 3 months, which would be October, November, and December. Since the bill is 88, I'm figuring it should be a split of $44. So I would be fine with that. I think it's, like Darlene said, it's within our realm to do that. It is a burden. So if we can do that for you, would that help? with
Yes,
that?
it would, thank you.
Okay. So if you want to close discussion,
At this point, I make a motion to close the discussion part of the hearing.
I second the motion. How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. And you're getting good at this. Let's give me a motion.
All right, let's see. I make a motion at the property of Irene Mason, 11 Elm Street, Bill 4186, to approve a 50% discount, or,
So it's an abatement.
An
We're doing
abatement.
abatement. Yep, we're gonna do $44 abatement.
a $44 abatement on that bill number 4186.
Okay. I second the motion. And it's a roll call vote because it has to do with money going back from the town. So Carolyn, how do you
I
vote?
vote aye.
Ray votes aye.
Thank you.
So we can't do the whole bill, but we are gonna give you partial back,
That's-
okay?
That's better than nothing.
All right, and if she needs to, if she does go back to the house, make sure you contact us and we can start trash again and all
Now,
that.
will you just mail a check, or do I come up and get it?
That would, someone will contact you
Yeah, so
and we'll,
You have my number, my phone number, and my
Yes, I
address?
do.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely. And do we have, if you wouldn't mind, for your mailing address?
Sure.
yeah, 'cause we don't want to go back to an empty house.
Well, I'm picking up her mail
Yeah.
right now
Okay,
anyway,
if you want it
but.
sent there, I
Yeah.
mean, that's fine too.
Okay.
It's up to you.
I'll take a motion to close the hearing.
Motion to close the hearing.
Second the motion, how do you vote?
Aye.
All right. All right, moving along. Do we have someone for 22 Leslie?
I don't believe that they could come tonight.
Okay, so we do have paperwork somewhere on that
Thank you
one.
so much.
Thank
All right,
you.
nice meeting you.
Thank you, have a good night now.
Thank you.
Hope
Good
Mom
luck.
does well.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so it is 7:23. I'm opening the hearing for 22 Leslie Ave, Christopher Klimavich. I killed their last name. So, all right, so we have a request for an abatement, and give me the information. We'll go from there.
Okay, thank you. The trash abatement request is for 22 Leslie Ave. The fiscal bill is for 2017, bill number 813. And this bill, I believe, Paula, this is the one you confirmed. So the amount due was 108. There has been some interest and demand fees on there. We usually, obviously, take those separate. But the amount for the original trash bill that went out was 108.
And
So we received the request the beginning of September, and then we also reached out,
bless
excuse
you.
me, sorry,
Okay.
excuse me. We also reached out to the property owner for additional information because the request was incomplete. So they were stating that they had their own business and had a dumpster at the business. So we asked for information to support that. It took a little bit, but in early October, actually earlier this week, we received a property, the business owner gave a letter
We don't have that.
Okay, this may not have been in your packet because literally just
Yeah.
came in. So
Right.
today's, today's the 5th? This
Yeah.
came in yesterday.
Okay.
So I apologize, I can share this
No,
with you.
that's fine.
So the business owner had provided a letter to us stating that Mr. Klimovich had permission to use the dumpster at their facility. And additionally, I also asked for a copy of the contract
Yep.
that business had. So we do have an active contract here, and so I can share that with you.
Okay. So, alright, that's good. Oh, jeez. Oh, it is Christopher, because it says Christine on here, so I want to make sure I, alright, it's Christopher and
family-owned
Christine,
business.
okay. Alright, alright, any more, evidence?
I don't believe so.
Alright, because I did read his letter, so, you want to close the evidence part of the hearing?
Make a motion to close the evidentiary hearing.
I second the motion and discussion. Okay, so they didn't pay it all. So it's not like it's an abatement. Well, it is an abatement, but they never paid when it was due, and they didn't contact us till September. Have they been on trash?
He just bought the home.
I'm
Huh?
sorry?
He just bought the home.
He just bought the home in September?
No, in July.
In July? Okay.
I
But
wanna
they
say
did get,
the bill
but they,
came in somebody else's name originally.
okay, but then they sent out a
They sent it
demand,
to him
and they
in
sent
his
out the
name.
demand 8:15. I would have been on the phone the next day. If they, that's why I like dates, because I see everything here says September, 9/2, 9/9. If he would have called on, if issue 8:15, if he would have called before 8:20 and said, hey, I got this bill, I don't use trash, what do I do with it? That would have showed me that he bought the house, didn't know about the bill, and stuff like that. But he sat on it for a month, 3 weeks, and then came up with that. But then all the paperwork wasn't filled out correctly. 9/9, let him know we need letter from owner and company approval.
Those were just the notes,
The
obviously,
note- yeah,
from
just the notes,
internally,
'cause
because
they
we had
didn't-
reached out to him
Yeah,
to
he
ask
just,
him.
all they sent was that little note stating that. So when he bought the house, did he use it to get rid of the trash? For those first, if he bought the house in July, was he saying, oh, I got toters, put them out? We don't know. The service was there. To my knowledge, well, not my knowledge, but I would say they were probably being used. If you saw everybody else's toters go out on the street, possibly did the same. I don't know. What do you think? Talk to me. What do you think? What's your opinion on this? I'll let you have first shot at it.
I see your point that, we don't know really if he's been just using them at this time.
And just for past what we've done on trash
Yeah.
abatements, elderly going into a home, we've given
Yeah.
partial back. Something like this where they don't get to us or contact us in time and they may have used the service, we just charge for the whole time.
Yeah.
And this is, when someone goes into a home, that's unforeseeable.
Right, right.
Having the toters at your house, you would call somebody, even if they just called the Republic and said, your number's on this barrel, what do I do with these barrels? And they say, oh, call the town, now he knows. And then he got a demand bill in August, probably 6 weeks after you bought the house, so there could have been 6 weeks he was using the dumpster. We don't know. So at this point, once we're done discussion, I'll be open for options. So
Okay. So that's all the discussion I have.
so you can
I can-
make a motion.
I'll make a motion to close the discussion portion of the hearing.
I second that motion. How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. And do you have a motion for me?
I do. The motion for Christopher Klimovich of 22 Leslie Ave regarding Bill 813. I make a motion to
You can-
deny the appeal
the abatement.
and deny the abatement.
Yeah, dogs are appeals,
Okay.
trash is abatement.
I'll get it.
Oh yeah, there's too much to know. Okay, so you made, I'm just gonna read it,
Yeah.
re-say it. So Christopher Klimovich, 22 Leslie Ave, bill number 813. You made a motion to deny the abatement. I second that motion. And how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. So we denied the abatement for 22 Leslie Ave. Make sure a letter goes out to him forthwith, so he will have it and tell him that we met and we didn't have enough. If he would have been here, he could have given me more evidence. But without him here, I have to go by what's on the paper. So, all right. And I will take a motion to close the hearing.
Take a motion to close the hearing?
No, I take it. You make it.
I make the motion to close the hearing.
I second that motion. How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so we have the 7 o'clock hearing. We should be able to do that rather quickly since no one's here. Unfit for human habitation, 22 Arrowhead Ave. It is 7:31. Open the
Okay.
hearing. Okay, evidence, please.
So, in your packets, you have a copy of the order that was sent out to the property owner at 22 Arrowhead. This
Where is
prop-
Arrowhead?
The property is actually
I live on
close
Oh.
in the neighborhood. So the property had many concerns. Our health inspector and building commissioner were called out through emergency services to this property. It is a property that we have been monitoring over the past several months, and we have made contact with the owner. The owner has been cooperative. I did speak with him yesterday, and Mr. Bottom wanted me to relay to the board that although he couldn't be here, he recognizes that this is a serious situation, and he is taking steps to work towards resolving it. So he does respect the board and respect the fact that both the Board of Health and the Building Department had many concerns at this property. I think, from the letter, I'm just going to kind of generally go through a lot of safety issues which caused us to make this determination, including no working heating system, no running water, no plumbing, no electricity, no working smoke or carbon monoxide detectors, just to name a few. I could keep going, but
saw it. There's a lot of 750 violations in here.
there are. And so we also, there are some photos of the interior of the property, obviously concerning, and it was explained to the property owner that this is not a safe place for anybody to be in. The property owner resides elsewhere and has agreed not to reside in this home. And he has been made aware that if he needs to go back into this home, then he needs to contact Inspectional Services with a plan to address these issues before anybody goes in, so that we're not putting any of our staff or any of first responder staff in harm's way. So I have the Board of Health order, I have the photos. I don't know if I included it in the packet, and I don't know if you need it. It's a lot of the same. I don't want to speak for the building department, but the building department also issued an order similar to many of the concerns that have already been identified. So the house was posted as an unsafe structure and unfit for human habitation. And I have the hearing here before you to respectfully ask for your endorsement of that determination.
Okay. Any more evidence, or is that, I mean, it's a lot, but.
Yeah, I don't have any other evidence. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you may
Okay.
have during discussion.
All right,
I make a motion to close the evidence portion of the hearing.
I second the motion. How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, discussion. So he is staying someplace else. What about children elsewhere?
There are family members and they are no longer staying there.
Okay, good.
Adult family members, I should say.
Yeah, I know they're both of age. Okay. Yeah, that's, I'm glad he's getting help. Well, now, do we have any, is he looking to get someone to go in and clean up, like a Stericycle, or somebody to go in there and do work or anything like that?
So, we have offered some avenues for
Yep.
assistance, and I know that he's also working with some agencies,
Okay.
some public agencies,
Good.
to try to get some help in order to tackle some of these issues.
Yeah, 'cause
You know,
I've
so
been-
there's kind of a process that we've kind of put him on,
Mhm.
so that if he, you know, obviously needs to address the major concerns
Mhm.
before we can get to the other concerns. So overall, there's a lot that
Yeah.
could overwhelm you.
Mhm.
So, you know, the direction that has been, you know, given to him as an option, obviously he can do what he chooses to, as long as he's not residing there,
Yeah.
but kind of given him some avenues to pursue for help.
So, one other thing, it's 150 Human Habitation, is it kind of, any hoarding, anything like that? That's
Yes,
what I
sir.
thought, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Alright,
I saw in the building that it lists, I assume his wife. Is there a wife in the
She
picture?
passed away
Oh,
years
it just
ago.
is her name still on
Yeah,
the
she passed
paper
away.
as the owner.
I
Okay.
think it was like 7 years ago,
Oh.
she passed of cancer, and the house is just slowly, I've cut the lawn a couple times, like if it gets too tall, I just go and cut the front lawn, my other neighbor cuts the back lawn. So that's, we've done in the neighborhood, just because it's a neighborhood. We knew it was gonna come to this. We didn't wanna see, when St. Edmunds, St. Joseph's cut the tree line in the back, it opened up a lot of his property, which he became very embarrassed about because of the conditions of the property. So, we knew it was gonna come to this, and it's sad that it had to come to this, but I believe, this is one that I did read over, because I run into these every once in a while at work. I'm fine with the way things are settling now. He seems, right now, he is, he's working with you. And you said he's fine. When it comes to the point when he no longer is, I would say bring it in front of us and we can sign an order if we have to really, because right now it's on 50 Human Habitation, and it just says we'd like you to stay out, but if he does try to move back in or changes his attitude towards the board, then we can do a removal letter or something like that, whatever you need from us.
And so I have also spoken with different first responders for, you know, for their concerns of
Yeah,
going in the property as well.
Yeah.
So at this point, Mr. Bottom has been explained that it's unsafe for him and anybody else to go into the property if he does not adhere to the order. We will move forward to ask the board for board and secure.
Okay, good, excellent.
At this point, he is cooperative.
cooperating, if he's
But
cooperative, that's great.
obviously, you know, there are people in the neighborhood that always are aware of their surroundings. So at this point, we didn't feel a board and secure was at that point. But obviously, if we need to, we can certainly, you know,
Excellent.
Go down that
Yeah,
route.
yeah, we'll back you up on that, not a problem. All right, any more discussion?
No?
Any questions? This is
No.
the first case you've had like this, so I don't know if there's anything
Yeah.
procedurally you want to know about? Do you want to know how it
I
happens?
do I understand correctly, at this point, you're just saying he's not going, the house is not gonna be fit for habitation, he can't move back in, but because we had something similar, but that person they thought was trying to move back in. So at that point, the next step is to literally go and put the plywood up and completely secure it, is that correct?
correct. So
Okay.
we had a similar situation with a house with, you know, a lot of safety concerns.
Yeah.
And so we did post the house. The owner continued to go inside the house.
Right.
And so the town took the next step and boarded and secured on, you know, the town staff actually did that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that would be the logical next step,
Mhm.
should the property owner choose to go a different route and not comply with the order. I have to tell you honestly, he has been very cooperative with our staff, and so I don't feel that that step is needed at this point, but obviously things can change.
So, I mean, I've seen many cases like this where up front, but then when you start telling them, no, you can't do this, no, you can't do that, they get upset and they say, well, it's my house, and they go in. I've seen, and when I was in another town, we had to the police had to forcibly remove somebody, we locked up the house, and then we had the keys. So when the cleaning company came in, they had to come to our office, sign out the keys, sign them back in. We don't want to do that. This is a resident of town, he's a long-term resident of town. We want to keep people in town happy and safe, and this is one way we can do it. So, any other discussion?
No. Make a motion to close the discussion part of the hearing?
I second the motion. Okay. There is no real motion here. All we have to do is uphold what we've done here. So you're not making a motion for like an abatement or anything like that. You can make a motion to uphold the the unsafe human habitation determination.
Okay,
You got that?
I do. So I'd like to make a motion in the case of Ronald Bottom of 22 Arrowhead Avenue to uphold the unfit for human habitation determination.
I second that motion. It is a roll call vote. Carolyn, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Ray votes aye. 2-0
Thank
to
you very
back you guys up.
Make a motion to close the hearing?
I second that motion. Okay, now the 7:30 discussion has now moved to 7:42. And this is donation box bylaw mandatory recycling regulation. Is anybody here for that? Come on up! I don't feel bad because you're only 11 minutes late on your hearing. You were just here
That's
early.
Right, very early. I actually,
Can you state your name first?
my name is James Griffin, and I have to say that once this was brought to my attention, I noticed it much more frequently in town, specifically Route 12. Now, we have people who come into town, they see these boxes all up down Route 12, starting at between Papagino's and I believe it's AutoZone, and there's a dumping ground as far as I'm concerned. And then we keep moving up the road, and now there's one in the D'Angelo's parking lot. There's one in the Shell Station parking lot. There's one at the Applebee's, and that's really, I took a picture of it to show what's going on there. And Colony Farms also has one. Now, you think about it's about 2 miles at the most, and we have all these boxes.
Yep.
And you can keep this picture, you can pass it around. That's been there a month.
Okay.
It's a TV that we all know that the cost of that, people are just dumping. I've seen car seats, I've seen things left out in the rain, and that's not a good look for our town. Now, I'm not coming here not with just the problem, but also a solution, because I don't like someone coming with problems without solutions. So I know you're working on things, but I noticed BJ's, what they did was they locked up their boxes. They took them from where they were, because that was a disgrace.
We were involved in that a lot.
And
It was like
they
every
locked
2
it up.
weeks we were up there.
And they locked them up.
Yeah.
So that is beautiful. When you go up there, you don't have that,
Yep.
that look. So my suggestion is you eliminate the boxes altogether. And if you're going to keep the boxes, put them in a place like the police station, fire station area, not a numerous amount of boxes, where there's cameras. So now people dump, and you can actually find these people for dumping stuff that's not allowed in these boxes.
Okay.
Secondly, the other solution is to eliminate the boxes, not have them in town at all, because I'm sure people who live in town have gotten mailings for Epilepsy Foundation, Big Brother, Big Sister, and there's the Salvation Army where you can actually drive to in Worcester to drop off. So to me, to keep the town looking clean, that's one step that this town could take by eliminating the boxes. I know that's some people are going to say we really need the boxes. Well, and there's phone calls to be made. If you want mass mailings to the town and say, call this number, we'll come and pick it up. That's what would be my solution to eliminate this problem.
One of the things we discussed is, I'm not sure how far, we had discussed a regulation stating that the owner of the property who allowed the box on their property will be their responsibility to keep it clean. Now, the location between Papagino's and Shutter's place or whatever's there now, he's not in town. The guy who owns that, I think he's in Florida, isn't it? No, I'm trying to think. There's one area in town where there's boxes, and he doesn't live in town anymore. He just owns the property, and he says, yeah, go put what you want there. But we were talking about fines. We were talking about stuff like that, making sure, giving them 24 hours to clean it up or whatever. Because I'm the same way you are. I drive down and I'm like, geez, I got a TV. Or maybe I can leave my TV outside the box if they're taking TVs now. But I understand your concern. I've been in town since 1971, and it gets bigger. And with more industry, we get more people driving through, and people just throw stuff outside. Hey, look, I think there was a box over at the breakfast place there, the coffee mug or whatever it is there. There used to be a box there, and there was always junk there. So I don't want to say I approve getting rid of all the boxes, but I do understand what you're saying about a place with cameras. That's one of the things we can do. If we come up with a regulation, we could say that all boxes must be under surveillance. We can put that in our regulation. And if we go up there, if Darlene or Eileen goes up there because they get a call for a mess up there, they can say, we need to see your cameras on this. If they say, oh, we don't have any cameras, or, I don't think they'd be approved. We wouldn't approve them without cameras. Oh, there's no videotape in there. We can fine them and say, well, that's part of the regulation. That's the only reason you're allowed to have them here. So that's one way we're looking at it, because I think, like you said, if we just get rid of all of them, there'd be an uproar. Oh, what, the town of Auburn isn't good enough to give to charity, even though there are places, like you said, coming around and everything like that. So I do understand what you're saying. I really do. And I was big on that BJ's cleanup. I would go up there and take pictures. I called a few times, said, yeah, I went up there. It's a mess. There's a ping pong table now. Hey, look, there's an air hockey table. It was a broken air hockey table. Someone just said, I'll put it right here, because they didn't want to put it out with their trash because they can't. And they didn't want to pay the $25 to have the truck come and pick it up. And we don't know. Could have been somebody from Worcester who decided to dump it there. We don't know if it's the residents or... So I don't want to take that away, because I do think there's a lot of need for charity and a lot of need for clothing and everything like that. But I do understand what you're saying about having it on camera.
Right, put it in a place where, specifically, if we did put it at the police station area, the fire station, people are less apt to even attempt to dump things there. And just like I said, people driving by, and it's. I'm curious, is there an incentive for these stores and companies that have these in their lot? Are they getting anything out of this? Because obviously, if you, like I said, there's a 50-yard area where there's 5 boxes. There's really no reason to have that.
I don't know if it's an incentive, but it's one of those things where a company like BJ's, like say the Salvation Army goes and sees BJ's, or not Salvation, that's a bad one because they don't have boxes, but one of those boxes comes up to them and says, hey, look, you have all this land up here that you use, you have this space you're not using, can we put a box? So it's kind of, they feel it's giving back, and so they think it's a feel-good thing is really what it is. I had a restaurant in town here for 10 years, and they asked to put a box on my property, and I said no. I said no, because it's gonna draw trash, and I have a restaurant here. I don't want it. I got a lot of my customers were upset at me because I didn't put a box on. Oh, Ray, that's charity, stuff like that. And I said, I'm sorry, I don't want it out front of my restaurant. That's not the look I want for my restaurant. So I don't think there's an incentive. There could be, but I believe a lot of some of the ones like the one down by Papagino's is a non-profit. They're mostly volunteer organization. That's a St. Vincent de Paul. That one is, but then you look at Salvation Army and their presidents and their generals make money because they're making money off of stuff. So I don't want to say, because we're hurting the ones who are actually trying to do good by telling them they can't be in town, because Auburn might be a big donation area for them, because a lot of people in town, we're not a poor town, we're not a rich town, but we're people in town do well, and they have extra clothes, and they may just decide to put it in there, and that's maybe a good location for them. So I don't want to say no, but I do feel they should be on the camera. I've said all along that we have to find out if if you own a business in town and you allow them to be on your property, it's your responsibility to keep it clean. Now, some of these owners say, well, I don't want to keep it clean, then don't have it in your property. That's the way I look at it. It's just like dumpsters. I work full-time for Westboro. We have a dumpster regulation. Now, people drive into these areas and drop stuff in front of the dumpster. And they go, well, it's illegal dumping. I said, do you have a camera? They say, no. I said, well, you're responsible for your own property to be kept clean. So we make them clean it up. They get upset. After 2 or 3 times of me going down there and making them clean it up, guess who has a camera up now? And then they call the police department and said, hey, we have a truck that stopped by last night, illegal dump. Here's the license plate number. Cops look at the video. They call the guy up, say, we need to speak to you, and they send him a fine. So that's something we can do here. And that's what I'd like to see. But I think some of these places that allow them on their property, they have to take responsibility, and we should be fining them, is what I look at. And that's why we were actually, what was it, 2 months ago, we were talking about a regulation on this?
Yeah.
So, and then when I went up to BJ's, like 3 weeks later, everything was gone. So, and I said, well, that's good. And we had talked about, Eileen had talked about it, saying, you know, I said, well, because Eileen had asked, do we find the company that owns the bin or the people who have it there? I said, well, if you find the company, some of these companies will be like, yeah, whatever. But if you find the person who's allowing them, now the person's going to say to them, you're going to come in more often and pick up because I'm getting fined and I'm not going to allow you here anymore. If they really want that spot, they're going to follow what the landowner or the company who's allowing them there to do. They're gonna, if they really want that spot, they're gonna keep it clean. And it's like, if BJ's had something out there, they could call and say, hey, St. Vincent de Paul, there's some, your box must be full, there's stuff all over the place. I know it might not be yours, but it's outside your box, you need to come and clean that. Or I'm gonna send guys out and we're gonna have to charge you for our workers to go out and clean your area. There's a lot of ways around it, but I think the camera and making the property owners responsible for that box on their property, they're allowing it there, they should be responsible for keeping it clean.
So that person who's no longer in town, who's in Florida, and I mean,
That's something we have, well, that's the rub. That's the one thing. But we could send a letter stating, I don't know if that's the one that's not there, but anybody who is I hate to use the term absentee owner, would get a letter stating, you have one of these on your property. The new town bylaw in Auburn is that it's your responsibility. So most of these guys have a maintenance guy who at least cuts the lawn in that area so they don't get overgrown with weeds. So their maintenance guys will have to keep it clean. That's what I would put in the regulation, is that it's the owner of the property or the owner of the business, their responsibility. Whoever allows that box to be put there. Because when I owned my restaurant, I didn't own the land. But I had the ability to put stuff on the land if I wanted to. So if I put a dumpster there, it's my responsibility to keep it clean. Now, Papagino's owns the land, so they're the landowner. But if as a tenant like I was, if the tenant allows the dumpster in, I think it's the tenant's responsibility to keep it clean. So whoever gives that box permission to be there is the one that should keep it clean. Now, who knows? Maybe this guy lives in Florida and he doesn't know there's a St. Vincent de Paul box on his property.
Right.
Who knows? So that's what we have to find out, if that's the regulation we're going to draw up. But that's something that we've been looking into. I don't know how far we've gotten.
Yeah, so I just wanted to, I appreciate you coming in with the picture, because it is a problem, which is
Big
why
problem.
we have it on for discussion. We know it's a problem in town. It's something that we get a lot of complaints on. We're trying to figure out a way to best tackle that problem. And so the donation bylaw has been something that we've brought up. We've compared some other towns that have it in place, and some processes that for discussion, you know, perhaps we do a permit, so that you have to have a permit to have it in town. Some of the things that you're talking about, you know, maybe as a requirement in the regulation, it has to be under active surveillance. You know, I think to your point, having it in visible locations, you know, in areas that can be monitored, is something that can be looked at. I think we have looked at having them on municipal sites in the past, and there is some legal issues with that, because putting on a donation box on municipal land, you get into other things that have to be looked at legally. So I don't think that per se could be an option, but you know, maybe somewhere in between, having it in active locations under surveillance might be a better fit.
Yeah.
So at this point, the zoning bylaw review committee is looking at updating our bylaws. And this is one of the ones that we have highlighted that we would like to have seen
Yeah.
as a priority. I think because it's such a hot topic, it is something that they have agreed that they are gonna move forward in that direction. So that is something that, for the town meeting in the spring, it's something that we'd like to be able to have at that time.
Yeah, in the
So-
meantime, is there any way we can have someone take responsibility and accountability for these? If they're on, the picture is Applebee's?
Yes.
If that's
So-
on Applebee's property, we should be going to Applebee's saying, the regulations, even in our food regulations, saying you're supposed to keep any
Yep.
stuff neat and clean, and there shouldn't be anything on the property that's gonna cause a habitat, and
And so
that's
I-
what that is.
We have done that.
Okay.
So that's the problem that escalated it at BJ's. I mean, just
No, that was
craziness. And so, overnight, people are dropping off more and more stuff. So it actually took us several weeks to get it under control, but we involved the business owner, we involved BJ's management and so forth. And after getting to the right person that handles,
Yes.
because there's different people that handle different
Oh, yeah.
parts of the operation, so, Eileen spent a lot of time trying to get to the right management, and we were able to do that, so we were able to get that cleaned up. I know she has been to Applebee's as well. If this is something more active, this is something we took within the past year or
That's
so.
been there a month.
Yeah, so we will have her go and check it out. It's a matter of, there's a lot of boxes in town, and there's a lot of dumping in town, so to chase each one. I think it's actually a little bit easier when it's at a business, because you can, as you
Yes.
said, you can go to the business owner, you can say, hey,
Yeah.
you either get it cleaned up, or we're
Yeah.
gonna give you,
We permit them, so it's easier
Exactly.
for us to get involved in that. If it was like at a, we don't have one in town, but if say it was at a Rotman's, well, we don't permit Rotman's, so there's not much we can really do on that. We can tell them, hey, you gotta keep your area clean. We have a nuisance regulation in town?
we do not.
We do not, so that's what makes it tough. Some towns do, some towns don't. That might be something they look into, because that kinda opens up doors, helps us get a lot more things done if we have a nuisance reg. Yeah, everything you said is 100% right. I agree with everything except maybe pulling the boxes. I think we start with the making somebody accountable and making somebody responsible for those. And then if it continues, then we say, look, you're not accountable, you're not responsible, we're removing them. Then we go there, but I think we have to do it in baby steps. If we just walked up and said, yeah, we're not gonna have boxes in town, we're gonna look terrible. And then I'm gonna have the Board of Selectmen saying, why'd you outlaw these? Because we as boards of health can make our own regulations without anybody stepping on us. But if we did something like that, that wouldn't fly. They'd be wanting to know why, because everybody would hit them.
Understood.
But no, but it's a great, hey, you came up with 2 or 3 different things, and that's great. I just know we'd have to work our way up to it. If we made people responsible, then Applebee's said, yeah, we don't want it anymore, and they got rid of it, somebody else got rid of it, somebody else get rid of it, that's the way to do it. If we had like a regulation, we could fine them because it's a mess outside their property and it's causing a habitat for rodents. Well, guess what? The restaurant's not gonna want a habitat for rodents outside their back door, so they're either gonna get rid of it or clean it up. So that's the best way. So I'd love it if it's at back of restaurant parking lots, because then we have the ability to get in there. If it's just like the one that's outside of Papagino's, we can make note of it. The one at BJ's was easy because it was on the property.
Right.
The one between Papagino's and the Blinds place, I don't know. We don't permit them, so we don't have a lot. That's why bringing them up and maybe making these places permit. Now we have a way to get at them. Say, all right, we permit 4 of your things in town, and last year we called you 7 times, and you didn't come out for 2 weeks to clean up. You're not being permitted this year. You're gonna have to remove your boxes. So it's a good way for us to have a paper trail so we can remove. If you understand that, it takes a little longer, but it's legal and it works out better, and it kind of that way people came in and say, Ray, why don't you allow their boxes in town? Here's all their violations over the last 2 years. They're not doing what they have to be doing. They're making a mess of the town. And then who's gonna, after I hand them a stack of violations, who's gonna tell me, oh, you're wrong, you can't tell them to go? They're gonna look at it and say, oh, well, they didn't tell me that when they called me. I'm like, okay, there you go. So we have to, that's one thing in Board of Health, I've been doing it for 8 years, gotta have a paper trail.
Need a volunteer to take pictures anytime? I'm available. Trust me.
Well, one thing, in a lot of
Be a
stuff.
deputy.
Yeah, we'd have to make you an agent of the board, because the one thing in public health, that even if a fireman goes into a house reporting and takes pictures, I can't use his pictures. I have to do it because I have to have an agent of the Board of Health. I'm an agent. Have you been made an agent?
When I was sworn in, was I an agent?
You're sworn in as a member.
As a
Oh,
member.
okay.
I'm an agent, but I think I was the only agent, because I was sworn in as an agent back in 2010, actually longer than that, 2009 I think. So I'm an agent, so I used to go out when Andy was on vacation, and I could go if they called from someplace, and we didn't have inspectors then. We had Andy was the only guy. If he was on vacation, they would call me, and then I would go out, and if there was a problem, I would handle. I had a water break in one of the hotels, and I had to go and shut down 2 rooms. You have to be an agent. So that's the only thing, is you can't act on behalf of the Board of Health. Even if you took pictures, we could look at pictures. Oh, those are nice, but we have to go out and take our own.
Well, I was on the Health and Safety Committee at UPS for 15 years.
Oh, there you go. But there are different things we can look
Yeah.
into, and yeah, we appreciate that.
Pictures help.
We do appreciate the help and everything, and it gives us, because we can't have eyes everywhere. If you notice something, you turn it in. You make file a complaint, especially if it's at a restaurant. We can get in there. That's when it's easier for us. The liquor store, we permit them. If they have something that's a mess there, you let us know. We go in there. We say, guys, you got to clean it up.
All right.
Anything that has a permit that we permit, we can get involved in. Those ones that are just in the middle of nowhere, not much we can do. They're very hard for us to get involved
All
in.
right.
But it's a start.
Okay.
We'll work our way from there, and then hopefully, if this regulation gets in, we'll have more powers to do what we can do.
I hope so.
All right, yeah, because I wasn't happy about the BJ's one either. It looked terrible. You come into town and there's trash right at the top of the
Well, you
hill.
guys did a great job getting that cleaned up. 'cause
Yeah,
very
that was all the office. I just
Very
saw it.
impressive.
So over the next couple of months, you'll see, some versions at public meetings. So we'll keep you updated as to what's happening,
Excellent.
and we
I
like the
appreciate it.
input.
No, definitely, because I always tell people, we're not public health. The town is public health. Everybody has to work, and to keep everybody healthy and keep the town clean, everybody has to work together. So even though we're board members, we're not the only thing. The even department isn't the only thing. It's everybody working together. The police department, the fire department, everybody works together for public health. So I take whatever input people give me, and hey, if we got to build a committee, you're the first person I'm talking to.
I'm in. All right, 8 o'clock. Everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
All right.
Alright. Okay, so directed issues, we had 3 items I don't think we touched on: animal control, Central Mass, and flu season. So
Okay.
if we want to hit those.
Sure, so, animal control, I just wanted to, let you know, as you heard tonight, Amy has been, doing a great job getting the dog licenses up to date. I think she gave you, the numbers that
Yeah,
she's been working on
that's
and cranking through in
phenomenal.
the past year. The rabies clinic update, we did have a rabies clinic within the past couple of weeks, and we had, now this was the second one of the year. If you remember, we had one earlier in the
Yep.
spring, I think in April, if I'm not mistaken, and we had a huge turnout
Cats
for
and
that.
dogs, right?
Yeah, cats and dogs, microchipping, rabies vaccinations,
Good.
and distemper vaccinations. So really, all mobile vet care
Good.
we had set up right here at the town hall. So we had also a great turnout for this event. We lucked out with the weather, held out for almost all of it.
That's good.
And we had, I think with the microchipping and the vaccinations, I think we're in the range of 60 plus or so.
That's good.
So we had, those, making it easy for people to come up and get vaccinated really does help.
Yeah.
And it's a great, it's a great break for the town because it's a reduced fee.
Yeah.
So normally when you go to your vet, you've got the office visit
Yeah.
and then the vaccinations and
Yeah.
microchipping. This is a discounted rate, so Amy's able to negotiate that with, the vendor that she chooses, and, you know, we're able to get that done. So we're doing very well there.
I didn't come this year to help out because I was at the one I had to work in Westboro, because we did one the same day,
Oh,
day that
nice.
you guys did yours. So
Oh, cool.
we did it ours. We do it down the. I'm trying to think. DPW. Yeah, they clear out all the trucks, and we have the whole indoor building and cats for 1 hour, dogs for 1 hour. That's how we do it. We have a local vet. Actually, 3 of the local vets sit together and do it all together right in the thing. So it works out really nice.
Nice.
But good, Amy. Great job with everything. I want to make sure you know we do appreciate what you do. We know no one's touched since what's her name retired. There's really been no full-time person that's been able to update the files, and I don't know how much they were updated there, but 1,600 and something notices you had to send out. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So hopefully this year, with all the people who had to pay the extra, I think there was only one person who was upset tonight. Everybody else seemed to be happy with what we did, and I wanted to make sure that they knew there was a fine, but in the same respect, okay, this is your first warning and last warning, and that's it. So, so I think there was only one the puppy one. I was like, I was on the fence on that one. I'm like, I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff, but you know, but now she knows. And the thing is she had a good record. So like the other woman said, yeah, I've been late before, and I'm like, well, you're gonna pay half. So, but now that we have people know there's a fine, I bet next year you're down to about 300.
And our residents, they are responding very well to the letters.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there was a good response to the citations that went out, but we have had over 1,000. We've gone up 1,000 dog licenses since 2014.
Yeah. And there's not 1,000 new dogs in town. It's just people who were not getting done. So this is the same thing we had problems with in the past with food when we didn't have a full-time inspector. We had these groups were having weekend things at different places. Nobody was pulling a permit. Now that we have inspectors, we're catching all this stuff, and it shows the town that we need to be supported. We need to have money come into this department because there's so much more we can do for the town. I mean, just you doing that. I mean, 1,000 extra dog fees. That's $10,000 right there. Right, because they're $10 a piece, right?
15.
15. That's 15,000. Yeah, you said that already, but I forget. So that's $15,000 right there that just went back in the general fund that they did not capitalize on in the last few years. So you're proving the point that we need help in the Board of Health and that we need coverage. So that's great. Thank you very much for all you do. So how's everything going down now? You run the kennel down at the DPW yard. How's that going?
It's going very well.
Good.
We have very generous residents in town that continually donate to our shelter.
That's good.
So food, bedding.
Sometime I'll have to get down there and take a tour. Well, I'll have to get a hold of you, come down and take a look, see that. Every Saturday when I'm dumping my grass clippings, I hear the dogs barking if there's dogs there. So, you know, but it looks good. I know that when you took over, you spent a lot of time rehabbing it and really doing a good job with that. And that's another thing we appreciate. People behind the scenes, people don't see anything. So it's the same thing. Before I started in Board of Health, I was like, all I thought they did was food inspections because I worked in the food industry. People I know who work in the medical industry think they just do stuff with flu clinics. They don't know they do food and swimming pools and tanning salons, and some have animal control. So thank you for all you do. We appreciate everything. If she gives you any hassle, just call me. All right, so sorry, didn't mean to talk. So what else we have left?
So Central Mass Mosquito Control, I think you're probably aware. I just wanted to let you know we are starting to get some cooler temps, but we did have spray events all through September, almost weekly, really. And for West Nile virus.
There was
So-
6 cases now, 7 cases. I saw. Yeah,
I
it was
think,
6.
was it 7?
It was 6 or 7 came out
yeah.
yesterday. So
So we have Central Mass Mosquito Control. We worked extremely well with them. They were so right on, proactive. As soon as we got notification from the state, often within an hour, I'm speaking with them and we're setting up a spray for the very next day. So I just wanted to let the board know that this is something that is very good for the community, very good for the residents, and there's a lot that goes into what they do and trying to mitigate the threat for West Nile and Tripoli. So we did have spray events, but those spray events are in response to try to keep people safe. So just wanted to let you know that they're doing a great job. Flu season in your packets, hopefully I have senior flu clinic has been scheduled. It's going to be next Wednesday, and that's going to be at the senior center like we typically do from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m.
And this is
So-
with self-pay, the ones that we buy?
This is, yes,
Okay.
yeah, so the senior clinic, this is for the vaccine that we purchased
yep.
privately. We also get vaccine from the state,
And that's going for kids again this year?
and that's for kids, yeah.
Okay.
So, as you may recall, they've taken the MIST out of service for at this time. So we are going to be doing an injectable. So we have vaccine that we've purchased. We'll be doing the senior clinic. This is obviously the first clinic of the year, and then we typically do a public clinic, open to the general public. A couple of years ago, we did Vote and Vax, and it was
That's what I was
very,
going to ask you,
yeah,
if you're thinking about that
very
this
well
time?
received. So we have reserved space on Election Day at the high school for the general clinic for people. We've gotten a lot of positive response from that, and I think if you make it easy for
Yeah.
people are more inclined to get a vaccine. So right now, we're going to see, we'll definitely do some sort of Vote and Vax. We just don't know how much vaccine we're gonna have at that point.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get through the senior clinic, and then we'll make some determinations as for time.
Yep.
So I can't say what the timing
Yeah.
is going to be, but we've already reserved some nursing staff.
Good.
So we will have that, more information to come, and even in the next week or so for that. So I just wanted to kind of keep you apprised of that. The prescription take back, I don't know if I've mentioned this, but it's something that is just, it's
booming, huh?
It's huge. It's such a great program. And we just did another disposal at Wheelabrator this past week. So we got rid of 150 quarts of expired medication.
That's great.
Unbelievable. So I just wanted to kind of keep you up to date on that.
How's CVS doing with the needle?
They handle that program
Yeah.
internally, and they seem to do very well with
Good,
it. I know they have a very
We tried
high
to,
turnover
I
on
tried
that.
to do it with the one in Westboro, and
Oh.
they said no, so we have boxes at the senior center, and I have to call Stericycle to come get it.
Oh, okay.
So it's,
Yeah.
I just made a call, they pick up on Tuesdays for us, so next Tuesday they'll be doing a pickup, but
Yeah.
I told the guy over there, I said, call Auburn. It's great. They come and buy their red boxes from you, so you're gonna sell the red boxes, and they're gonna come back and dump them in there and buy new red
Right.
boxes.
Yeah.
It's sales, but
Yeah.
I don't know. So it's because I just wanted to see how it was doing, because I know when Andy started that years ago, at first it was a little tight, but man, people love it.
Yeah.
It works
It's-
out nice.
we're very
And
fortunate.
it's right there.
Yeah.
You gotta go pick up your needles, pick up your prescriptions. You can just dump them right in the box.
Yep.
You're good to go.
Very fortunate with that program.
Mm-hmm.
So I have just a couple of things. I just wanted to, if we can, I know we talked to donation bylaw, the mandatory recycling regulation.
Oh,
I
yeah.
wanted to just inform you that the town has is looking at ways to increase recycling and also reduce what our fees are for solid waste disposal.
You went
And
to the
so-
meeting at Harvey's last week?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah, so that had to do with some of the discussion around solid waste and how to get people to, respond to the waste bans and so forth. We already have in town a set of rules and regulations
Yep.
for solid waste. So people are already required to separate and recycle their items. Right now, we don't have an enforcement mechanism for that. It's more so that something that there's a grant that we've applied for to try to get help for enforcing recycling amongst community, but we're looking at the opportunity to be able to, hopefully if we're able to get that grant, to use that, that position as an educational position. A lot of times when I am driving, I've actually stopped because I'm driving by people's toters and they've got stuff sticking out of the toter that's a waistband. So, you know, a couple months ago, I don't know if I mentioned, I was driving and somebody has fluorescent light bulbs sticking out of their trash toter. So I stop, take out the light bulbs, you know, recycle the light bulbs, speak with the homeowner about, are you aware, are you aware that we have a program here in town? And so what we want to do is get the word out. Because a lot of times when you hear residents, there are some people that, you know, just are handling their everyday life because lives are busy enough.
Everybody that was here tonight, well, I don't do social media, I don't do this, I don't this. So you're trying to find, you can't reach everybody, you do the best you can.
So we are looking at ways to increase education, increase recycling percentages here in town in order to save the town money overall. So the more we recycle, the less trash is going to the Wheelabrator, the less money that we have to pay. And so that's, I just wanted to kind of bring to your attention, I've looked at other towns and it seems that there are towns that have some mandatory recycling in place. Each town is handled differently. Obviously, everybody kind of has their own situation, but a lot of towns that have transfer stations have some regulations in place where you have to recycle. I think Westboro is probably a good example. You know, so you have a transfer station, you have to recycle at the transfer station. Here we have curbside, and so people put out their 2 toters. So you can put out your trash toter, and then recycling is every 2 weeks. We have a lot of demand from residents that want to recycle more, thank God. So we have, through the assessor's department, if somebody requests a second toter, they're able to do that. And so we have toters that we purchase so that people can recycle more, less trash. And so I wanted to just kind of bring to your attention that it's something that, you know, we want to get the word out that we need people's support and we need people's cooperation to make sure they are separating their trash.
Can you look into something for me? Because I know right now, if someone has like more than 3 units, they have to supply a trash hauler or something like that. They don't do a pickup here or whatever. If they are not on our trash program, toters, can they get a recycling toter just to put out recycling every 2 weeks?
So I don't believe so.
Okay.
Because the service would still, so right now, we do have people that if they don't want to do the municipal service, they can do private service, but they have to have a licensed hauler.
Well,
okay,
I'm just thinking,
contract.
I know, well, just to put it out there. Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's just discussion, we're not voting. So one of the things I look into is, my mother's a perfect example. She has a 2-yard dumpster at the bottom of her thing. She gets it picked up once a month. She does no recycling. Because she doesn't have a recycle tote. She can't afford to pay for the town. Luckily, it's a family business that owns the dumpster. So I pay for it and I pay dirt for it. Really, it's not expensive at all. So I'm just looking at, I'd love to get her to start recycling. But, you know, she's not going to jump on the town thing because she pays less going through the other way, and she doesn't have to wheel it up to the end of the yard, even though I would go and wheel it up first thing in the morning before I went to work. But I was just looking into that, see if there's, because you're talking about mandatory recycling, if there was a way we could make it easier for people too. But, all right.
So I will probably bring that for future discussion. I wanted to, those seem to be the 2 things that we're trying to, you know, get education out about. The town has applied for a grant for that position. In order to have that position, you'd have to have a regulation in place. And so I wanted to let you know that we have several examples of towns that are doing this.
Okay.
Either through the Board of Health or through a bylaw. And then also the one final thing here, we have a subdivision review.
Oh, yeah, I
The
missed
reserve
that
at
one.
Ashworth Hill. So I just wanted to,
There's just a discussion, so I don't have to open a hearing or anything.
note that we are going to need comment.
Okay, so
So it's
I
not
have.
a hearing.
All right,
not-
just
not a
yeah,
hearing.
just comment. Okay.
Yeah.
Because if it was a hearing, I'd have to wait till Carolyn comes back in the room.
Yeah, well,
So
that's
we
fine
could,
to
yeah.
wait.
So no, we can open it up and look at it. So, the reserve at Ashworth Hill. Where's this going?
Okay.
Or where's it
Let me
proposed?
just, take me just a second. I need to
Oh,
give
by
you
the way, did they not email you this morning? These two? Look at the sweaters.
Yeah.
I didn't get the email.
Yeah,
I would have worn my. I would have worn my
Yeah.
Argyle. I would at least wore my Argyle socks. I mean, come on.
We were kind of cracking up when we saw each other.
Oh, I walked in. I didn't want to say anything. I was like, "Did you guys call each other this morning?" Yeah. Sorry, I had to throw that out there. You know. Just...
Alright, sorry, got too
That's
much
all right.
paper here.
And Amy, apologize. The meetings usually don't go this long.
I forewarned her it was a little bit longer than
Yeah.
usual.
And anytime you want to come to a meeting, if you have something you have to say, there is always a spot on there for animal control. So if there's anything coming up that you want to talk about, you're more than welcome to come to a meeting. Usually on Monday nights, it's great because you're getting paid for it anyway. Well, you get paid for tonight, but you're in the office already. So sometimes you just walk over and say, hey, I got 5 minutes, and jump in. But somebody has to go to college, so when they go to college, they mess up the meetings. Oh, wait, that's me.
That's not fair. We're not gonna mention names.
Yeah, not gonna mention names, Ray. Well, they only do public health on Mondays.
All right, so this is, sorry, I just wanted you to kind of see the plans in full. This is a subdivision plan that we received, definitive subdivision. It's the reserve at Ashworth Hill, and this is a project that came in and was submitted recently to the planning board, actually September 20th.
So what's the street address?
So this is on Blaker Street.
Which
this
is off
is-
of.
Blaker Street is going to be off of Maple Street. So Southbridge Street,
Yep.
down towards Crystal Caves.
Yep.
Take a right onto Maple Street.
Oh, yeah,
all the
and
way
then-
to the end.
Oh,
Take
Okay,
a
all
right,
right.
and then I think a left.
Okay, I know what it
Blaker
is now.
Street is down in that area. Tinker Hill.
Take a hill. Yep.
Okay, so this is going to be in the that section of town. So if you were to picture where that section of town is, and then also parallel to Route 20, Southbridge Street, heading into Oxford.
Yep.
This project actually scans. This is a town line here. So this is Auburn. This is Oxford. This is a project. There's several sheets. I'm opening you to a sheet that's going to show you 2 lots.
Yep.
So it's let me just read it. The project description is the project proponent proposes to construct 1,392 foot long, 30-foot wide paved roadway with sidewalks on both sides of Auburn and Oxford, Mass. The project will also consist of installation of all utilities in the proposed roadway, which are water, sewer, gas, underground electric, cable, and phone.
Underground electric.
The development's drainage system will consist of new catch basin, forebay, and infiltration basin, and settling basin. So that just kind of gives you just the narrative. So the town received these plans. There's actually, I can show you on a separate sheet, but there's 2 lots being proposed
In Auburn.
in Auburn.
Okay. Would they be sewer or would they be septic?
So this shows a public water line
Yep.
and a public sewer line.
Oh, okay. I didn't see the sewer. I saw the water.
Yeah, I know,
Okay.
it's hard, there's a lot going on this plan. So there's public water and public sewer being proposed on this plan, and there's 2 lots And let me show you another version that might be a little bit easier to see. Okay, so this will show you a lot layout. Lot 1 and Lot 2. You can kind of see just from this version, again, this is the town line, Auburn, Oxford, and there is a lot of size to these lots, okay, with the road coming down, crossing over into the next town of
So-
Oxford.
I mean, not that it's gonna matter to us, are they looking to put a couple in Oxford also?
So
Cause they have a cul-de-sac, so I'm figuring they gotta be putting something there.
correct, so,
Okay.
they are proposing 2 lots, at this time. The, what we've received from the plans is, public water, public sewer. This, a version of this plan, not this particular plan, but a concept plan came to, the, DCG group, the group that
Yeah.
district coordinating group here at town. The applicant had identified that there would possibly be a subdivision for 40B,
Okay.
affordable housing. So although it looks like it's 2 lots, there has been discussion about 300 unit,
Yeah.
300 units being proposed on the Auburn side, more on the Oxford side as well. So there has been discussion by our DCG group, and obviously discussion about public water, public sewer. The sewer department has stated that they do, and I should also point out, there is a sewer pump station in this vicinity. The town has already has upgrades in the works
Yeah.
that are expected in the spring.
Okay.
So they already have those. There was some discussion about whether or not there could be capacity for that
Yeah.
size of a project and the flow that would come in. 300
Conservation been
units.
involved with
Well,
the
yeah.
wetlands, so.
Well, 300 units versus if you were doing 2 single-family homes.
Yeah,
a big
but
difference.
I'm saying conservation must be
So-
making notes too,
So
because
there's
wetlands.
also, yeah, there's also a lot of wetlands, as you can see from some of the, from this version. You can also flip through. There are other, a little bit clearer that shows you wetlands. The sewer department has also talked about sewer line extensions and requirements for that in the capacity, being able to identify how many units that, if the sewer line could handle the flows here. The water department had also expressed, some concern about making sure that they had the capacity to handle for public water. You get into also some of the items in the DEP realm of different interbasins of where the sewerage flow is going, which water districts you're in, because obviously Auburn Water District, Oxford has their own public water supplier. So there's kind of a lot of information here. This plan has been submitted formally to the town. It is going to go before the planning board. I believe it's for their meeting for the 11th, if I'm not mistaken. October 11th, I think, is when their next meeting. So the Board of Health is required to provide some sort of response in addition to the plans. Obviously, anytime there's a subdivision proposed, I think, I don't want to speak for the board, but we always like to see
Well,
public water, public sewer when
yeah.
you're proposing
Yeah, because
large.
if it came down to like a septic system, then we'd really have to get involved, looking at offsets, looking at all that stuff, making sure the pipes run. But if it looks like they're gonna be on town water, town sewer, not much comments I really could make on it. That's something I think that, you know, this could be something you could report to us. I think you can make the comments yourself, because you're gonna be here the day to day. I know a lot of departments gonna make comments on this, school department, everything like that is gonna be very, because the schools are taxed as it is, and if we do 300 units, you figure even if only 100 units have kids, that's 100 more kids if they're not multiples in the units. I mean, I don't want to speak for the board, but this is something, unless there's something that you think should really come in front of us, I don't see an issue. You know, you could notify us that there's coming up, and that if you told me there's no septic and that it's town water, town sewer, and that the setbacks are going to be taken care of by conservation, I'm fine.
So it is going to go to multiple boards.
Yeah.
You know, obviously the conservation are going to have to provide advisement for.
'Cause the buffer zone would end up being all the way out here if they're building any kind of parking lots. And
So they would have to go to the boards under their purview. The comments that I would, you know, I would discuss with you, for public water, public sewer, that obviously is what's being proposed on the
Yep.
plans, to make sure that the districts that are handling those concerns have the capacity to handle them. So we would just want to make sure that, okay, you can propose it on a plan, but if it hasn't been confirmed
Yeah.
through sewer and water,
Then,
then
yeah, it's not gonna-
you
yeah.
can't, you know, you can't.
yeah, they can say, oh, we need 10,000 gallons a minute, and if water says we can only give them 5,000 gallons a minute, then it's not going to work. So yeah, once all the boards get involved with that, yeah. I mean, this is fine. I like to know when there's stuff coming in, but I don't think. I mean, speaking for myself, I know Title V, I know subdivisions, but I think with some of the other stuff on there, it's going to be Greek to me on some of the other stuff. So.
So are you, you know, obviously, are you comfortable with me providing comments back to the
Yes.
the planning board
Mhm.
as far as how public water and public sewer is being proposed?
Yep.
Obviously, the board, you know,
Yeah.
has no
There's
hindrance to.
yeah. There's no red flags from what I can see. Because if there was a red flag, you pointed out to us, and we could say, no, we don't want this, or no, we don't accept this. But if you don't see the red flags, you just have to make the notes that you want to make. I'm fine with that.
So what I would say is the information that's being provided, there is limited information
Yep.
as far as we're showing 2 lots here. However, if public water and public sewer are able to be provided as shown on the plan, that's what we would want to make sure that that's confirmed through those respective departments.
And as they make the decision, what they're going to do, like you said, it could be 2 house lots or it could be 300 units. When those decisions are made, they have to send the right paperwork in, and then you're going to get a second look at it anyways. So.
Well, as there are some exceptions with a 40B project
Yeah.
for affordable housing.
Mhm.
There are some procedures that
Yeah.
will take different paths.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to bring to your attention that this was received.
Okay.
If you are comfortable, I will provide comment back to
I'm
the
comfortable
planning
with the
board.
comments you want to make. I'm fine with that.
Okay,
I think
so
that'll be good.
it would be, you know, as proposed, you know, the capacities would have to be confirmed with those respective departments.
Yep, that works. You fine with that?
Yes.
You're looking at all these squiggles going.
I
what is that?
know.
What is that? These are elevations of the.
Oh,
So
okay.
you get a slope here, and so you got 690 to 688, 686. So it's a nice gradual slope. If you saw something that was like 698 and it went down to 420, that means it's almost a cliff.
Oh,
So
okay.
you want to look at numbers, and that's just the sloping. So it's good for water runoff and everything like that. You know where all that stuff goes. So. Anything else on the plans? Are you good with that?
Nope,
No?
I will, I'll prepare the
I'm
the
fine with that,
comments.
yeah, because you're the one day to day here, you're gonna be able to make those comments, we see the plans once, you might notice something when you go back and look at them. If there's anything that shouts out to you, you can always just let us know.
Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right,
All
I
right.
think that is,
I think that
All I
covers just
have.
about everything.
do you want to, obviously, we're gonna be going into, some holiday
Yeah.
season. Do you want to,
Well, I
some
was
dates?
yeah, I was thinking of some. October's gonna be difficult. The rest of October, because if we met today, we'd be back in around the 19th or somewhere in that range. And then I have you. Are you going to the Cape this year?
Oh,
For
the
the
MHOA, the
That's the
MHOA conference.
25th or
is-
something like that.
yeah.
So I'll be down there for 3.5 days. So unless there's anything huge, I would say we're probably meeting out for October, if that makes sense. I would say November. I don't know.
So we
Paula, I might have to
uh,
have you do it online because I do not. Oh, actually, I do not have my schedule with me.
Okay.
So
Are you guys comfortable with, because Paula can coordinate everybody's schedule if she sends out a couple of dates?
if you send me a couple dates, I'll be able to jump on it right away. Right now, because of school, Mondays and Tuesdays I work late, but if Tuesday's the only night that we can do it, then I'll just get the time off. Steve will give it to me. I'll tell him Darlene really needs me, and he'll give it to me.
But Mondays and Tuesdays are challenging.
Mondays and Tuesdays are challenging. Wednesday, Thursdays are great. Fridays, ha! If I'm not on the golf course, you might get me. But- so it,
Hi,
let's
getting-
hope you are in
getting everybody
November.
here.
I do a Saturday morning meeting if Callan buys breakfast. So, so
Do you
all right.
have, how's Wednesday, Thursday look for you, Carolyn?
That looks fine for me.
Those
Yeah.
are okay?
Okay. Yeah, it was so funny. Steve was finally available to make Mondays, and I took classes, and I can't do it. So, okay. So, if you can get to us on that, send us out some dates that you think you can put, and then I'll be able to jump on and say yes or no. All right. Communicable disease. Did you have anything for us tonight on
Oh,
that?
yes, I do.
If it's nothing pressing, nothing big, just a few little
Just, yeah, just.
the normal stuff.
standard.
All right, I'll let Carolyn look at that. If we need to discuss it, we'd have to go into executive session anyway. So, all right. So the next meeting we'll have at least one in November. Holidays gonna come up after that, and then December's usually tight too. So, if you can send us some dates, Paula, that would be great. At this point, I will take a motion for adjournment.
I second the motion.
No, you have to make the motion.
I make the motion.
I second the
For
motion. All right, we're all set. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching. Sorry it's been so long. Have a good one.